Welcome back to AniQuest. This is my recap for the anime solo leveling. If you enjoy my recaps, please think about subscribing. We see on an island, where a group of hunters face off against several giant monster ants. Their leader gets right up close to one of the ants and says they have to hold them back no matter what, no retreat allowed. But damn, these hunters get overwhelmed real quick. The leader is losing consciousness, and one of the ants is chowing down on his insides. It looks like he's gonna die. But out of nowhere, this dude with crazy strong healing magic saves him just in the nick of time. The leader freaks out because this guy is about to get attacked too, but boom, he gets saved too. And the guy who saved the leader calls on his teammate to finish off the ants. This next guy is a total beast, beating the crap out of those monsters easily. The first group realizes that they were just side characters all along, and these dudes who came to save them are S-rank hunters, the best of the best. They wipe out the red ants easily, but then this even bigger albino ant shows up. The attackers decide to engage the ant, while they leave the wounded leader to the healer. They go all out, using their teamwork to rip off its face and arms. The super powerful warrior uses one of those ripped off arms to obliterate the giant ant. But hold up, there's no time to celebrate because the albino ant army arrives. It turns out the giant ant was just one of many, but these hunters ain't scared, man. The mage guy powers up his lightning, and the brute dude goes into full-on Hulk mode, ripping his clothes apart with his massive muscles. You can see their crazy fight from the city, where this other guy named Choi is relieved they made it in time. Choi's got his hands full because the city's got a serious ant problem too, but he handles it like a boss and lights it up with some serious flames, leaving only the colorless ones. And he's got a team of exterminators to help him out. We then learn that over 10 years ago, portals that could connect to a different dimension suddenly appeared in the world. And guess what? All types of monsters come from the portal. Only folks with special powers, called hunters, can fight them off. The hunters are ranked based on their magical abilities, from S rank being the highest to E rank being the lowest. But here's the kicker, once their powers awaken, they can't get any stronger, no matter how hard they try. 3 years have gone by, and that construction site is now a dungeon raid spot. We see this dude grabbing some drink before he heads in, and one of his friends calls out to him. He's surprised to see him there since he heard that Park quit being a hunter. That was true, but then the economy smacked him in the face after his wife got pregnant a second time. So the dude needed to make a ton of cash real quick, and a dungeon raid seemed like the perfect way to do it. We see that our hero has arrived. His name is Jinwoo. He recently joined the group, but they've already nicknamed him the weakest hunter ever. He greets everyone as he walks in, so Park asks why everyone seems to know him, thinking maybe he's some super strong hunter, but it's the complete opposite. Jinwoo is known as the weakest hunter ever. He managed to get himself injured and ended up in the hospital in an E-rank dungeon. They might as well create a new rank just for him, like an F rank, because he's that weak. But here's the thing, his reputation as the weakest works in his favor. If they call him in for a dungeon raid, it means it's probably gonna be a piece of cake. Jinwoo heard every word they said about him, but he couldn't deny it because it was true. He's just that damn weak. This woman named Juhi calls him out, and it turns out Jinwoo knows her from a previous mission they did together. But forget the greetings, she's more concerned about his latest injuries, and asks him what the hell happened this time. They sit down, and Jinwoo explains the embarrassing fact that he got injured in the lowest ranking dungeon. And get this, the team didn't even have a healer with them, because they didn't think any hunter would be dumb enough to injure themselves there. But they didn't take into account Jinwoo dumbass existence. Juhi gets pissed on his behalf, but Jinwoo already knows it ain't their fault. It's his damn fault for being so weak in the first place. It's time to enter the dungeon, and they're all about to head in. So this dude named Song Cheol suggests he be the party leader for this expedition. No one objects, so he leads the way, and before Jinwoo goes in, he gets a friendly reminder to stick close to the group, so he doesn't get hurt again. Jinwoo's only weapon is a crappy little knife with barely any magic power because that's all he can afford with his measly earnings, but he swears he'll give it his all anyway. In another place, there's this president of the Hunters Association named Juhi. He just finished a meeting with the government. They warned him about something called dungeon break that they needed to avoid. However, these same people demanded that they get the goods obtained from the dungeon. The members of the association make their living by selling the stuff they find in the dungeon, so Juhi doesn't have a problem with that request. The crystals they get from defeating magical creatures are called magic gems, and they sell them for money. Now let's go back to Jinwoo. Somehow, he managed to get his hands on a magic gem. Of course, he's thrilled about finally getting one, but he quickly has to defend himself against a goblin. When Jinwoo attacks the goblin, Jinwoo's blade shatters to pieces. The goblin stabs our hero, and instead of fighting back, Jinwoo just stands there screaming. Luckily, the big guy from earlier rushes past the useless girl and saves Jinwoo. While she heals him, Jinwoo can only watch as the rest of the team does all the work. We then find out that magic gems obtained from high-ranking magical creatures can be used to make more powerful weapons to defeat even stronger creatures. Mana crystals from the dungeon can also be used as weapons, but they're not nearly as effective as the magic gems. The government wants to use these items as a new kind of energy source. It's safer, more efficient, and causes less pollution compared to other types of power. It's like the perfect green energy, and the government is desperately researching how to generate electricity from these gems and crystals. Since these items can only come from the dungeon, hunters become incredibly valuable. Meanwhile, back in the dungeon, the team celebrates their victory after defeating the dungeon boss. Jinwoo must be the weakest person ever because he took a beating and Jinwoo is still healing him. She wonders why he even became a hunter if he's always getting injured, and thinks he's gonna meet his end one day. Jinwoo apologizes, but his words don't mean much and she's just worried about him. Everyone gets their share of the spoils from the battle, but there weren't many mana crystals, so they won't make much money. Jinwoo starts to doubt himself and feels disappointed to have only gotten a measly E-rank gem. He starts questioning if it's even worth risking his life for. One guy on the team calls everyone's attention to a huge hole, and they all gather around to figure out what the heck it is. Looks like a cave, but they're in a dungeon, so it's more likely to be a double dungeon. It's rare, but they've heard of it before, and their suspicion is confirmed, because they've already taken down the dungeon boss, yet the place hasn't started closing like a regular dungeon would. It seems like there's more loot to be grabbed deeper inside. Now Song Cheol tries to be the voice of reason and suggests that they follow the normal protocol by informing the association about the double dungeon and following their instructions. But the team ain't down with that idea, because it means giving up all the untapped loot that's probably waiting for them down there. Then this guy Park says it's just an F-rank dungeon, and then he brings up his wife and kid, talking about how he needs to make more money to support them. Song Cheol gets the point they're trying to make, but he wants to hear everyone's opinions before making a decision. Each team member chimes in with a mix of approval for venturing deeper and the realization that this is a clear death trap. In reality, 6 voices are answering to go to the cave, while 6 voices want to turn back. That means someone needs to break that tie, and the only one left who hasn't voted is Jinwoo. The decision is left up to him, and he knows damn well that a D-rank dungeon is insanely dangerous for him. But with his father missing, he's the only one in his family who can earn any money. He's already burdened with a ton of financial responsibilities. His mom's in the hospital, and his sister needs to go to college, so he can't stay broke forever. So he decides to go into the dungeon. Elsewhere, in the lab, where people are getting tested for their magical powers. In the waiting room, the others are ready to recruit any promising new hunters. This ranked hunter Choi has told his people that regardless of age or gender, they're getting recruited. Meanwhile, some thieves snatch a purse and get ready to run over a girl who's in their way. This girl fearlessly snatches the purse back from those guys without even blinking. It's like it's just a regular day for her. This girl is Cha-hee, the famous S-rank hunter. She's a celebrity, but she can't handle all the attention. Her fans go crazy over her, and she makes a super dramatic exit. Back in the dungeon, the party has been walking for 40 minutes now, and they haven't found anything valuable yet. And the portal to a dungeon closes after an hour, so they only have another 20 minutes before they're out of time completely. Jinwoo says sorry to Joo-hee for making her come along because of his vote, but she's more pissed about how he doesn't worry more about his own life. If he had been stabbed just a bit higher, he'd be dead. And on top of that, she had a hard time healing his hands and feet. She keeps scolding him, and he realizes that it's only because of the B-rank healer that he can survive. Jinwoo feels sorry, so she suggests that buying her a meal would be a good apology. Our boy is taken aback by her forwardness, but before they can continue their discussion, the team discovers the boss's room. It's unusual to find such massive doors, so something feels off. Kim refuses to leave empty-handed and is determined to enter, with the others joining him. Meanwhile, in the city, a group of hunters are going through an orientation where they watch a video of Gunhee. He explains that the dungeon portal has been around for over 10 years, and there are still many mysteries within. Being a hunter is dangerous, even for the most experienced ones, so they must always be cautious during a raid mission. They can't afford to be arrogant, and the main key to survival is extreme caution. However, this group in the dungeon seems to have completely forgotten those words and is entering a mysterious, dangerous, and unexplored room. These guys act very naturally, as if they're on some amusement park ride, as they've never seen a dungeon like this before. The statues look ancient and at least 100 years old. Jinwoo is fixated on the biggest one, and Juhi starts feeling uneasy due to the eerie silence. Everyone wonders where the boss is, and Song Cheol stares at something that looks like a magic circle on the floor. His attention is drawn to a tablet with ancient writings containing commandments about worshipping some god. But Song is more concerned about something else. Juhi is certain she saw the giant statue's eyes move as if it was looking right at them. Jinwoo thinks she's just losing her mind, but everyone is shocked when the door suddenly slams shut. One dude on the team, who didn't even want to come in the first place, realizes something's off and tries to bail. But out of nowhere, one of the statues slices off half his body in an instant. Everyone loses their minds, because not only did someone just die, they got taken out so damn fast that nobody stands a chance against that power. Our boy turns his gaze back to the main statue, hoping that it doesn't move as well, but to his horror, it looks back at him. We take a peek into Jinwoo's past. The dude's been through some serious life or death situations. In his first mission, he got separated from his crew and attacked. Another time, he damn near starved to death while trapped in a maze. He's even been injured by some weak magic beast and ended up in the hospital for weeks. Even the lowest ranked, crappiest dungeons pose a real threat to this guy. Most hunters collect gems and sell them to buy better weapons, which they use to take down tougher beasts and earn bigger rewards. But not Jinwoo. He's stuck with a cheap little knife, and if that thing ever breaks during a fight, he's left fighting barehanded. His clothes are all raggedy with holes in them. He constantly gets mocked by others. He is stuck in this dangerous job that barely pays the bills. His only way to survive is by finding clever tricks and studying every little detail around him. Fast forward to the present, Jinwoo senses the danger oozing out of the giant statue, but he can't warn the others in time. That giant shoots out a massive beam from its eyes, causing chaos and destruction. The team is freaked out, unable to wrap their heads around what's going on. Juhi's trembling in fear, and his buddy Jinwoo is wondering how the hell things ended up like this. They're trapped with no way out, and even if Jinwoo gets lucky this time, he knows deep down he's gonna end up dead sooner or later. But our boy wished to catch the One Piece episode before he died. Song Cheol tells everyone to stay put because the statue will strike again if they move. Jinwoo is too terrified to move, and Song thanks Jinwoo for his earlier warning, when he shouts for everyone to get down because he saved them all. Song is a seriously tough dude, and Jinwoo is shocked to see that he's missing an arm. Jinwoo needs to stop the bleeding for him because Juhi is freaking out and can't handle the pressure. She's a B-rank healer, but her fearfulness limits her to easy raids only. Song has been on plenty of B-rank raids himself, so he can tell that this statue isn't a rank, or maybe even an S rank. The tablet had some stuff written about praising God or facing consequences, so Jinwoo figures that this statue must be the god it was talking about. We then find out that 10 years ago, these gates started appearing all over the place, and brought about all sorts of supernatural stuff. One result of this is people awakening special powers called hunters. Their job is to take down monsters in the dungeons, and once a hunter's power awakens, it stays the same. At school, Jinwoo's sister tells some girl about how her brother always ends up getting hurt. This girl can't believe that Jinwoo is a hunter and says she'd be a better hunter than him. Back in the dungeon, Song wants to come up with a plan to escape, but this one man gets impatient. He just signed up with some famous guild and doesn't want to die now. This guy is confident that his insane speed will get him out of there. He does have some crazy speed as he takes off running, but the statue disintegrates him, leaving only his fast feet behind. That makes it clear that this statue could wipe them all out in a heartbeat if it wanted to, and it could do it easily. So why doesn't it? Jinwoo realizes it must have something to do with the first command, which is to worship God. Jinwoo gets up, having come up with an idea, and gets a determined look on his face. Song is worried, but amazed to see that Jinwoo hasn't given up on surviving this mess, judging by the fire in his eyes. Jinwoo locks eyes with the statue and manages to prevent it from attacking at the very last moment. Our boy figures something out and tells everyone to bow down. Jinwoo thinks that if they show some respect to God by keeping their heads low, these freaky statues won't attack. Now everyone else is too damn clueless to come up with a better plan, so they all start bowing down to the statue, scared as hell, hoping this will save their sorry asses. But things get terrifying when the statue makes a terrifying face, moving mutton chop despite all the advice, and gets all pumped up because the statue ain't attacking anymore. And guess what? Everyone follows his dumb lead. But our boy he's say there's more to this crap. Right then, the statue makes a crazy move and stands the hell up. Now the supposed leader turns to Jinwoo, hoping he's got a plan. But damn, our boy doesn't, but for the fact that they can't break the commandments set by the tablet. The second commandment says they gotta praise God, so this brave dude with long hair steps up and starts praying to the damn thing. Everyone thinks it's working as the monster slows down, but Jinwoo knows better and reveals that the dude's words don't apply to this god. But boom, the statue stomps the poor guy, and everyone loses their minds. It's straight up chaos. Some random girl gets crushed, and everyone decides it's best to scatter. Park's thinking about his family, and how he can't leave them fatherless, but he makes the wrong move and gets sliced up by another statue. Meanwhile, Jinwoo's hauling ass with Juhi, racking his brain for a way to praise this messed up god. I mean, this monster's practically the devil, so how the hell do you come up with something to praise about it? But our hero knows he can't just ditch Juhi because everyone around them is dropping like flies. Jinwoo's freaking out, searching for any damn clue. He's checking out everything these statues are holding. Then he gets an idea and tells everyone to head to the statues that are holding instruments. So everyone follows his lead, and it becomes clear that these statues don't attack. Instead, they start playing their damn instruments. But when our boy gets to his statue, it's not playing any music, so he figures it doesn't work with two people. Jinwoo leaves Juhi behind, and that statue starts playing its tune. He hauls ass to find his statue, but damn, he nearly gets crushed. And then someone screams because Jinwoo's landed his sorry ass in front of the wrong goddamn statue. It slams its shield right on top of him, and Juhi goes nuts, screaming for Jinwoo. Our boy is still kicking, but he's in really bad shape, determined as hell not to give up. But damn, that giant's ready to finish him off for good. Jinwoo ain't ready to bite the dust, though even as that massive mofo stomps its foot down our boy. But guess what? Just in the nick of time, a statue starts singing, and we see Jinwoo made it to that statue just in the nick of time. He finally gets what it means to praise God, and the giant statue takes a chill pill and sits its ass down. Jinwoo tells Juhi he's fine, but she's shocked to see his foot ripped off. He tries to assure her he'll be alright, but she ain't having it. She's dead set on healing him, but her own body starts giving up on her. Everybody's in shock seeing how that goddamn raid went straight to hell. Some dude even tells Song that losing his arm was karma for leading them down this messed up path as their leader. Others think that's a bit too harsh, but Song takes full responsibility. But Jinwoo's way smarter than all these fools, because he knows there's no time for fighting because there's still one commandment left. Right then and there, the giant raises an altar smack in the middle of the room. Jinwoo knows them well from the legends, where they're used for offering treasure and sacrifices to the gods. The third commandment was all about proving your faith in God. Kim figures the sacrifice gotta be someone's life, and he couldn't think of a better candidate than their leader. They've all seen their teammates die, and Song's the one to blame. So Song steps up to that altar, but Jinwoo points out it ain't all his fault, since they all voted to come down there. Then fire pops up as Song approaches the altar, and he asks Jinwoo if there's something else he gotta do. Our boy, being the smartest and bravest of them all, asks the others to help him get to the altar so he can check it out. Jinwoo ain't thinking nothing bad's gonna happen to them, so they get him there, and what do they find? And they find that more flames appear. Song keeps pressing Jinwoo for answers, but he ain't come up with any yet. Song explains the gate's been open for a whole damn week, so the statues are about to start moving again before anyone comes to rescue them. Jinwoo remembers how it takes a full 7 days for a gate to open wide open, and that's called the dungeon break. When that happens, their beasts can cross over to our side. The main goal of these raids is to defeat the dungeon boss and shut the gate down before that time's up. So if they can't beat this boss right now, that damn giant's gonna come barging into our world, and that shit's straight up terrifying. Back in their world, Jinna goes to see Jinwoo's mom, and they start chatting. But damn, their mom is in really bad shape. In the dungeon, Jinwoo tells the scaredy cats of the group to come over to the altar. He predicts that they need a flame for each person. Once they do it, more flames pop up, and the damn door opens wide. They're all freaking out, thinking it might be a trap. And to their surprise, the other statues start moving towards them. Everyone is panicking, but Jinwoo keeps his cool and starts analyzing the situation. This freaking genius is something else. He tells everyone to keep their eyes on the statues because they won't move if we're watching them. Everyone follows his orders, and shockingly it works. Everyone's doing their best to keep their eyes on those terrifying statues, but then this one chick gives into fear and tries to haul ass toward the door. As soon as she crosses the circle, her flame goes out, but she manages to make it out the damn door. Song Cheol can't figure out what the hell is happening. The door closed a bit, but the girl made it out alright. He thought we were supposed to stay in the circle, so naturally, he turned to Jinwoo for answers. Jinwoo's just as confused, but he starts analyzing everything again. Those blue flames have been burning out over time. One of the fire ones went out when that girl escaped. The first order was to revere, the second was to praise, and the third was to prove our faith. Jinwoo is damn sure that the door must be a trap. This situation is dangerous as hell, and it's messing with our heads, giving us false hope. It makes him wonder if this is some test of our faith in this god. Jinwoo gets thrown to the ground as the next dumbass decides to make a run for it, and the same shit happens. His flame goes out, the door closes a bit more, and he seems to escape. Kim starts thinking about leaving too, but Jinwoo warns everyone not to move. If anyone else leaves, we won't have enough eyes on the statues to keep them from moving. He reminds everyone that as long as we keep our eyes on those statues and stay put, we'll be safe. Jinwoo shows off his deduction skills once again, saying that the blue flames are like a damn timer, and when they're all gone, we can leave. Kim points out that there's also a chance we'll get trapped when the timer runs out. He admits he didn't expect Jinwoo, the weakest member, to achieve this amount of success. They're only alive thanks to him, but Kim's got a family waiting for him, and he doesn't want to die. He just wants to make it home, and can't risk Jinwoo being wrong. Kim says sorry and bolts out the door. Our boy won't have enough eyes to keep tabs on all these damn statues. Those statues start moving again. Jinwoo ain't about to bite the dust here though. Things are worse than ever, but he reminds himself that he's pulled through tough situations before. But damn, things are worse than ever now. But Song Cheol shockingly tells Jinwoo and Juhi to leave. He predicts that as long as one person stays by the altar, the door will stay open. And since Jinwoo and Juhi have some long lives ahead of them, he insists they should be the ones to make a run for it. Song Cheol wants Juhi to look after Jinwoo, but the poor girl's legs give. Things couldn't possibly get any worse, and Song realizes that Juhi must have pushed herself too hard to heal Jinwoo. Things have gone to the dogs, so Jinwoo tells everyone to leave him behind. Juhi needs someone to carry her ass out of there, and Song's the only one with 2 working feet. Juhi thinks she should be the one left behind, but Jinwoo reminds her about that lunch date they had planned. He hands her his gem so she can treat herself to a meal, and promises to get the change when they all make it out of this dungeon. Juhi won't ditch him, but Song apologizes and knocks her out. They're running out of time. He apologizes to Jinwoo too, and bolts with Juhi to safety. Our boy can at least find comfort in knowing he's the only one who's gotta bite it, and his only regret is not having a better damn life insurance policy. Our hero grabs hold of a sword, dead set on taking one of these statues down with him. He tells them to bring it on. Those statues go full savage mode, ripping into him as he fights tooth and nail to stay alive. Jinwoo thinks about how he has always been the weakest. He's constantly getting mocked for it, but he's always given it his all. These damn statues ain't letting up, they chop off his arm, and Jinwoo screams in pure agony. He's angry because it doesn't have to end this way after he poured his heart and soul into trying to become stronger. But these statues keep inflicting more pain, and thrash him about further. But despite all the setbacks, he can't help but think about how he gave everything he had to make it this far. He's a fighter, even with just a sliver of life left in him. He's got this burning desire to let out a scream of pure anger, but he can't even do that as he is stabbed through the chest. Jinwoo's on the brink of death, but you can feel the rage coursing through his veins. He starts reflecting on how the first few people who ran away were just weaklings. They claimed they couldn't handle it anymore, but deep down, they were just selfish. Those fools were only looking out for themselves, and it's always the most selfish jerks who end up benefiting the most. That thought fuels Jinwoo's rage even further. He's got a family too. All he wants is to make it back home alive, just like those lucky ones before him. The pain is unbearable, and he starts wondering if it's a good thing that he's the only one who has to die. In his battered state, Jinwoo's mind starts wandering, and he realizes what a hypocrite he's been. He's struggling to catch his breath, desperately clinging to life. He doesn't want to die, but the final attack comes crashing down on him, and our boy wishes he could have one more shot. And just when it seems like it's all over, the final blue flame goes out, and this mysterious notification pops up out of nowhere. It turns out he's completed some secret quest called Courage of the Weak. It's offering him the opportunity to become a player. The catch is if he doesn't accept, the player's heart will stop in a fraction of a second, so no choice, and he hits that yes damn button. Right at that moment, Jinwoo wakes up in the damn hospital, and he's straight up shocked to find out that he's still got his damn arm. He remembers getting dismembered and all, but here he is, with his leg intact too. No sign of getting stabbed in the chest either, so he starts thinking, was that all just a crazy dream? And just when he's pondering this, some dude named Wu rolls up and introduces himself as the manager of the Hunter Association surveillance team. And that purple-haired dude, yeah, his name's Kang, but they ain't saying why they are there. They do reveal that Jinwoo was unconscious for 3 straight days. And get this, Juhee and Song ain't dead either. Song lost his arm though, so he might have to peace out as a hunter. Juhee's all sorts of messed up mentally, so she's getting psychiatric care. But it doesn't look too good bro, so she's probably not gonna continue as a hunter. Only 6 peeps made it out alive from that crazy double dungeon they stumbled upon. Being a hunter is always a risky business, but what went down that day was a real tragedy. And here's the real mind-boggler, when another guild showed up later after being alerted by the survivors, and they found just Jinwoo. No signs of the temple or their statues. The survivors all told the same wild-ass story, which is hella hard to believe. Everyone's stories match up perfectly, so nobody's suspecting them. It's a crazy situation. And now, Wu's got this theory. He looks at Jinwoo and asks if he has a second awakening. Wu explains that a hunter's power is determined when they awaken it, and it doesn't change after that. But on some crazy rare occasions, a hunter can go through a second awakening. This mind-blowing event can push them past their previous limits, even to the O or S rank. Jinwoo gets all pumped up, thinking about this, and Wu brings out this meter thing to test Jinwoo's power. Wu figures that if they really went up against an instant-level magic beast as the survivors said, a low-level hunter wouldn't stand a chance. And since there ain't a single monster trace left behind, the most likely explanation is Jinwoo's second awakening. Jinwoo's hyped as hell to hear the results of his mana test. But damn, the results ain't looking good. Wu admits they messed up, and they leave. Turns out Jinwoo only scores a lousy 10 on the test. Even E-rankers usually get at least 70. A score of 10 puts Jinwoo in civilian territory. And to top it off, the dungeon just vanished, so they can't even investigate how Jinwoo pulled off survival. Jinwoo's bummed out by the whole damn thing, but he can't help but wonder why those guys didn't ask about the freaking thing floating in the air. He's freaking out, wondering if he's the only one who can see this, and then he realizes it's like a touch screen or something. Jinwoo remembers getting a message about becoming a player, but his sister interrupts his thoughts. She's all worried about him, so he apologizes and asks if she can see the panel. She can't see it, so he asks if she knows how opening messages in games usually work. Jenna thinks he's gone nuts, but our boy reminds her she used to be a gamer. She gives him the obvious answer, saying he just needs to check his inbox. Right then, a notification pops up saying Jinwoo has a daily quest, which is all about strength training. After Jinna leaves, our hero opens up a ton of these panels. They explain that the system is there to help the player get better, and if he doesn't follow it, there's gonna be consequences. They've also sent him some rewards, but Jinwoo has no clue what any of it means. Jinwoo accepts his daily quest, which sets out a bunch of goals like push-ups, sit-ups, squats, and running. But if he fails to complete the quest, he's gonna get penalized. Jinwoo starts wondering if this whole thing's a joke since he's stuck in the hospital and ain't got no energy for any of that crap. Outside, Wu tells the chairman that Jinwoo didn't have a second awakening. The whole incident's still a mystery, so they gonna mark it as a special case and look into it more. Meanwhile, Mr. Choi tells Cha-hee that she gonna be part of a B-rank raid as an instructor. This raid's gonna test and train the recruits, and he can't think of a better instructor than her. Cha-hee doubts her teaching skills, but Mr. Choi tells her to just fight like she always does, and everyone gonna learn from watching her. He goes on to explain that the Hunter Guild is one of the top 5 guilds in the country, but they ain't nothing special on the international stage. Hunters can't level up on their own, but they can improve their collective combat skills. Somewhere else, another gate opens up, and the observers are all like, damn, when are the hunters gonna show up? At the freaking hospital, Jinwoo falls asleep as the clock reaches midnight. Then a damn notification pops up, saying he didn't finish his quest, and suddenly the ground starts shaking like crazy. Jinwoo is frigging terrified when he finds himself in the middle of a damn desert, and to make things worse, there's this giant creepy caterpillar monster right in front of him. But suddenly another notification pops up, saying he's got a penalty quest, and he's gotta survive for 4 freaking hours. Back at the hospital, the nurses are all like, where the hell is Jinwoo? Because he's nowhere to be found. Little do they know our hero is stuck in some other dimension, running for his damn life. The giant caterpillar thing is closing in on him, and he's like, oh shit, because there's more than one of them. And if that ain't bad enough, Jinwoo still has 2 hours to get his ass back to the hospital. The nurses keep searching for him, they are all worried. Meanwhile, poor Jinwoo is running his ass off, knowing he's running out of time. The caterpillars are getting closer and closer, but just as the clock hits the deadline, Jinwoo finds himself back at the hospital. The notification confirms that he completed the penalty quest, but Jinwoo is so drained that he ends up puking and passing out. He gets another reward, but he's out cold and has no idea. Later on, Jinwoo tells his sister that he's healing up nicely and might be able to go home soon. So he gets dressed in his fancy tracksuit and heads outside. Over in another place, Juhi gets a request to join a raid, because some D-rank gate has shown up. The other guilds are busy, and Juhi can't bring herself to agree to go. On the other hand, Juhi gets some good news that Jinwoo has woken up from his coma. Juhi is all nervous and shit as she goes to visit him, but the nurses are like, he's running again. Just like every day since he woke up. Outside, Jinwoo is thinking about how it's been 4 days since he woke up, and he's learned a few things. First off, those pop-up windows he's been seeing are for real, not some crazy hallucinations. And when he completes his daily quest, he gets 3 types of rewards. One is full recovery, which he uses now to shake off all that exhaustion from running. Then there are ability points, which he can use to boost his skills. Currently, our boy can totally feel the difference. He's got some serious power now. So this dude Jinwoo, he's got mad skills with inventory screens. Jinwoo takes a moment to think about how dang strange his life has just become and points out how it's like a freaking video game. But while he was messing with his screens, everyone around was just gawking at him. Anyway, this dude completes his daily quest and gets a random loot box as a reward. And guess what? Today's loot is a mysterious key. Usually, he just gets useless junk like pens and bandages, so this key is a total surprise. Then he gets a notification saying the key is for teleporting to some instant dungeon, with a location and all. Now Jinwoo doesn't know what the heck an instance dungeon is, but based on everything that's been going down, he figures it's some kind of event to help him get stronger. In this world, these things called gates open up all the time, and they even get a news report to keep track of them. Jinwoo goes to see his mom and remembers when he found her passed out. Turns out she's got this messed up sleep disease called final rest, and it showed up when the gates appeared. Some people say it's because of the constant exposure to mana. Modern medicine can't do much except keep them on life support. Jinwoo busted his ass to make enough money to become a hunter so he could pay for his mom's treatment. He told Jinna that he'd soon be able to afford their mom's treatment, but she was scared shitless about how dangerous being a hunter is. Jinwoo tries to reassure her that things will be okay from now on and tells her to trust him. But damn, it's clear that he's useless in a fight, and he ain't getting nothing from the rewards because of it. But things are different now. Jinwoo's putting in work to train his body, pumping all his ability points into strength. He even shows off an apple that he's crushing to show his progress. This dude's dead set on getting stronger and ain't taking no shit. So he heads to the location from the key notification, fully prepared for whatever's coming. And if shit gets too real like it did in that raid, he'll just haul ass and run away. When Jinwoo pulls out his key, bam, a freaking keyhole appears out of nowhere. Jinwoo uses the key to unlock it, and boom, a mysterious gate shows up. So he walks through it, and guess what? A notification pops up saying he's in an instance dungeon. The exit's sealed off, but regular folks don't even notice it. Turns out this place is like a whole other dimension, and these instance dungeons ain't like your regular dungeons. He thinks it's kinda like a red gate, but he ain't got much info on those since he's never been in one. Jinwoo realizes he can't just run like he planned, and then another notification pops up. It says the only way out of this joint is by beating the boss or using a teleportation stone. Jinwoo's couldn't even take down an E-rank beast before, and now I gotta clear a whole instance dungeon all by myself. He wonders if he's really up for it, but he figures he ain't got no choice, so he starts making his way through. But damn, Jinwoo's confidence starts to fade real quickly. And it ain't without reason, because a bunch of goblins show up right in front of him. Jinwoo gets a flashback of when he got stabbed, and these goblins come at him. These little suckers are relentless, they're swinging and charging like crazy, but Jinwoo's doing a good job dodging and blocking them. But damn, he gets overwhelmed eventually. But you know what? Jinwoo gets pissed off and straight up stabs one of those goblins. He's feeling more confident after that, so he takes out the other two like it's nothing. Jinwoo can tell he's getting stronger, but out of nowhere, this beast shows up. It shatters his freaking dagger like it's made of glass. Jinwoo can sense this monster is way stronger than the goblins. As this creature stares him down, his legs freeze up. He's thinking, what the hell, am I scared? Because he didn't think he was traumatized from the raid. But his legs keep trembling, and this monster starts its attack. Jinwoo barely dodges it, but it manages to scratch him. He ain't got no healer with him, so if he gets injured again, game over for him. This monster lets out a howl and charges straight at Jinwoo. Jinwoo is dodging like a ninja. He can't believe how damn light he feels. The monster tries to come at him again, but Jinwoo ain't taking that crap no more. He's done being a pushover and decides to throw a powerful punch. Damn, he can't believe how much stronger he feels after beefing up his strength. Sure, the monsters still got the upper hand, but Jinwoo ain't giving up without a fight for his damn life. His attacks ain't doing much though, so he's gotta focus on evading the monster's strikes. Now Jinwoo's at a loss for what to do next. He realizes he can't handle this alone, so he bolts because he ain't got no party or healer. All he's got in his bag is water and food, and he wishes he had a weapon with some magical mojo. But then, Jinwoo gets a freaking brilliant idea. He checks his inventory and pulls out a sword at the freaking last moment. And boom, he slices that monster in half with a sword. Jinwoo has no freaking clue how the sword ended up in there, but he remembers Kim saying he dropped 3 million on it. That's a weapon Jinwoo could never afford. But who the hell cares? It's an emergency, so he decides to make the most out of it. The pain from the fight is starting to fade, but then 2 more of these damn monsters show up. Jinwoo ain't scared anymore though, because he got his weapon. But damn, the sword gets stuck. He's panicking, desperately trying to yank it out while the monsters close in. Just in the nick of time, he manages to free it. Jinwoo kicks one of the wolves away, but damn, the other one's got some steel fangs. He kicks that sucker and tells it to find something else to chew on because he just got his sword. He takes down that monster, and now there's only one left. But Jinwoo's like, these things ain't nothing compared to the giant statue. Now all Jinwoo's gotta do is act tough, and the remaining wolf runs off like a scaredy cat. When he finally gets a break, Jinwoo realizes he's reached level 2, something that never happened with his daily quests. He figures it's because this was real combat, and he realizes all his stats go up by 1 when he levels up. So he gets 5 points from real combat, while daily quests only give him 3. Fighting is more efficient, no doubt about it. He ain't sure exactly how much 1 point makes a difference yet, but Jinwoo's certain that strength is the most important stat of them all. He's got it at 32 now, and he feels like he's walking on air. He thinks the higher his base abilities grow, the more points he'll gain. Our boy is more fired up than ever now that he's found a way to get stronger. So he goes to check the beast for essence stones, but damn, he gets items instead. Like in games, Jinwoo figures this dungeon, and the magic beasts inside are different from the ones in gates. And guess what? He's shocked to find out his system has a freaking shop, but his level is too low to buy anything. At least he can sell stuff though. The dude manages to get 20 gold from a tooth. Jinwoo ain't sure how much that's worth, but he remembers he's in an E-rank dungeon, so it probably ain't much. Now Jinwoo's thinking about what he's gotta do next. He can't bounce until he beats the boss, and he ain't got a clue where to find a teleportation stone. To make things worse, if he stays too long, he'll run out of food. He knows damn well he can't take down a boss right now, even if it's just E-rank. So he's wondering if he should level up first. Right then, Jinwoo's mind gets blown when a whole pack of wolves shows up. Jinwoo tells himself not to be scared because he already knows what dying feels like. This time, he charges straight at them wolves and starts slicing them up like a meat. Jinwoo promises he ain't going down easy, but he knows them wolves ain't gonna give up either. This dude's getting a little crazy because he wants the fight to last and be intense. He just wants to get stronger, so he's gonna follow all them ridiculous rules from the system. Jinwoo chops through all the monsters and notifications pop up everywhere like crazy. When he's done, he gets a final notification saying he's now the wolf assassin. Outside, some folks walk by a portal and they wish the damn city would do something about it already. Inside the dungeon, Jinwoo's dead tired, and he realizes his sword's about to give out. Just then, he gets a notification explaining the perks of being a wolf assassin. Jinwoo gets a 40% boost to all his abilities when fighting animal-type monsters. And guess what? When he checks his inventory, he finds a whole bunch of fangs and a cloak. But here's the real kicker. He also finds a teleportation stone. Jinwoo thinks about using it to bail, but he hesitates because he might never get this easy of a chance to get stronger again. He's got no clue what's gonna happen to this dungeon when he leaves. It might just vanish into thin air. It could be like some limited time event in a game and vanishing without a trace. Faced with this tough decision, Jinwoo decides to keep moving forward. Meanwhile, Juhee gets a call from the Hunter Association saying there's been a dungeon break at a gate nearby. They're running low on healers, so they need her help. Juhi feels guilty because she turned them down before, but now she's like, damn, Jinwoo worked his ass off, I gotta step up. While Jinwoo's still fighting in the dungeon, he realizes the higher his level gets, the easier it is to kick monster ass. Plus, the text describing them starts changing colors. White means they're weak as hell, orange means they're on par with him, and red means they're seriously strong. Those wolves that were red before, now they're white. That means Jinwoo has seriously leveled up like he's become a beast. Jinwoo knows there's this one monster lurking downstairs that he can't mess with at his current level. His perception skills are on point now, and he can feel something straight up terrifying down there. This monster is so damn powerful, it's giving him mad goosebumps. Jinwoo's sword is almost done, and he ain't see any more room for leveling up in this area. But his whole goal is to get stronger, so Jinwoo decides to just go down the damn stairs. When he reaches the bottom, bam, something attacks him with lightning speed, and he barely has time to react. Jinwoo's sword snaps in half, and this massive serpent pops up in front of him. Damn, Jinwoo's mind is blown, because even with all his leveling up, this beast's name is still orange to him, which means it's insanely tough. It's crystal clear that this snake is the boss, and there's no way his sword can pierce its thick scales. He knows for sure that fighting without a weapon would be a death sentence, so when the snake strikes, Jinwoo goes all out with his sword. This colossal snake knows how to pack a punch, so Jinwoo needs to figure out a way to get around its defenses. But damn, this thing's armor is hella tough, so all Jinwoo can do is run for his life. The snake whips its tail like a straight up badass, and Jinwoo knows he's screwed if he gets hit. He does his best to block it, but he takes some serious damage. This creature doesn't quit. Jinwoo gets tossed around like a rag doll, and he even has a train launched at him. Our boy thought he had gotten stronger, but it wasn't enough. The train barely misses crushing him, and Jinwoo starts questioning himself. How much stronger does he gotta get before he stops being the laughingstock? He remembers when people called him the weakest hunter ever, and it hits him hard. Song was the one who spilled the beans, and he pumped up Jinwoo to prove them all wrong. As this snake straight up overwhelms him with its crazy power, tossing him into a whole new area, Jinwoo has an epiphany. He got stuck with that nickname because he was weak, the same reason he got mocked. Jinwoo takes a second look and realizes that those with mad strength always have the upper hand in any situation. But the powerless ones ain't got nothing to do around the strong except shake in fear and stand around like losers. The weaklings always get looked down upon. You might be smart, creative, and caring, but when you face some serious strength, none of that's gonna save your sorry ass. Jinwoo figures out that being kind won't get him anywhere, so he's gotta toughen up. With this newfound determination, Jinwoo straight up jumps on that snake. The ferocious monster throws him off, but Jinwoo swears to himself that he'll get stronger, and suddenly his body starts glowing. Jinwoo dodges the snake again like a boss and strikes it with his sword, but he's even more determined now. He compares what he's feeling right now to the terror he felt during that raid, and declares that this is gonna be way easier than that day. Jinwoo pulls off this sick move, using his sword to ride the snake again, but then he tosses it aside all shaky, and grabs that beast with his bare hands. Jinwoo admits that he's been laser focused on boosting his strength ever since he got that leveling system. So he decides to rely on that now and starts crushing the snake's tough scales. The snake's trying to shake him off, but it's too damn late because Jinwoo knows he can kill that sucker. Jinwoo straight up demands the snake to die, using his crazy physical strength to defeat it. Then boom, he gets a notification saying he leveled up multiple times, and our hero bursts out laughing. He's like, damn, I really got stronger. We see the aftermath of this epic battle. Another notification explains that he just kicked the Swamp King's ass. He gets this badass dagger made from the serpent's fangs that's twice as powerful as Kim's sword. It even has paralysis and drain effects, oh, and he also gets this toxic potion that'll make his skin tough as nails, but mess up his muscles permanently. Now the dungeon turns into a train station, and Jinwoo realizes he beat the whole damn thing by himself. He's walking around with his broken sword, but there's nobody in sight. Some soldier tells Jinwoo to find shelter, but he quickly figures out that Jinwoo is a hunter. The soldier's like, my bad, let's go kick some ass together. There are monsters all over the place, so Jinwoo figures it must have been a dungeon break, and some magic beast came out of a portal. The soldier says they handled most of the situation, but there's still one huge badass monster left. Jinwoo's perception ability has gone through the roof, and he can sense where the boss is. We see this massive golem wrecking shit, and the people are scared as hell it's gonna get worse. The hunters are struggling to fight it, and the leader tells the healers to focus on keeping their tank alive. The healers are all like, "We're doing our damn job," and the tank wonders what the damage dealers are even doing. The damage dealers are giving it their all, but the golem's defense is insane. And to make matters worse, they don't have enough hunters who can use magic. Jinwoo expertly analyzes the situation and realizes that this group of hunters was put together in a hurry. No wonder they ain't working together. He uses his perception again and sees their ranks. 2 are ranks and 2 D ranks. One of those D ranks is a tank, which explains why they can't take down the golem. This battle's been going on for a hot minute, and then he checks out the healers and is shocked to see that Juhee is one of them. Juhee gets told by one of the hunters to pitch in and help. She reminds her that she's supposed to be a B rank healer, but then she snaps out of her fear and casts a spell, and the hunter's like, "Stay focused, girl." But poor Juhee can't shake off those creepy memories of the giant statue, so she loses her concentration again. Jinwoo notices she's still freaked out, but he doesn't blame her, because he's feeling the same way. Then it hits him that things have actually changed. This golem is a weak-ass D rank boss, way weaker than the one he just fought. The hunters start freaking out because they're losing the battle real quick, and they realize they ain't got a chance without a higher ranked hunter. That's when Jinwoo gears up for an attack and figures out that they can take down the golem if they can just break through its defenses. Jinwoo plans to lend them a hand by using an attack strong enough to pierce through the stone. Jinwoo hurls his busted sword with so much force that it straight up shatters the golem's shield, and the hunters start wailing at it. They barely lay a finger on it and manage to bring it down. They can't believe they actually did it, but the tank guy ain't convinced. He's all like, "None of our attacks were doing squat before. What the hell broke that thing's defense?" He's dead certain it wasn't any of them because they couldn't even scratch the damn thing. Then he spots the sword lying nearby and puts 2 and 2 together. He realized that this sword was the reason, but couldn't believe it. I mean, this was a boss-level golem that even 10 hunters couldn't touch, and now it's taken down by some old beat-up sword. He asks if anyone saw who threw the sword. The soldier explains that it was the fisherman they brought with him. But here's the kicker: the hunter's gone missing, and the tank stares in utter disbelief. This person had some next-level power, and he couldn't help but wonder how high-ranked this mysterious hunter was. Jinwoo dipped out of the area to keep his power on the down low, and he's like, "I didn't think one attack would do that much damage." Our hero might not even realize the extent of his power, because he figures the monster must have been seriously messed up before he struck. The battle's done, and Juhee's wondering if it was Jinwoo who came through in the clutch. Some time passes, and we see the nurses at the hospital gossiping about Jinwoo's rank. They're all talking about how he looks pretty average, but damn, that dude is seriously ripped. In Jinwoo's room, our boy is grinding hard, hustling through his daily workout routine. These thirsty nurses won't shut up about him. They can't even believe how fast he's transformed. One poor nurse straight up falls for Jinwoo when she catches him post-workout, and she can't stop staring at his ripped body. Today's the day Jinwoo bounces out of the hospital, so this desperate nurse asks for his digit. But Jinwoo ain't all there yet, still stuck on the fact that he thinks she just wants to send him test results after he's released. On the news, we catch up with Beak, that S-rank hunter who took down the giant ants. He's one of only 7 S-rank hunters in the country and gives us a glimpse into the life of a top hunter. He breaks it down, saying he's gotta train like a beast every day when he ain't raiding dungeons. Even the smallest mistake could lead to his buddies getting hurt, so he gotta stay sharp, no doubt. Gina notices that Jinwoo is now seriously ripped and has even grown taller. Jinwoo reminds his scatterbrained sister to grab an umbrella for school and sees her off. When he's alone, Jinwoo figures he can hit his run later and wonders if these fresh gains are because of his boosted stats. He figures if he keeps this pace up, he could become a massive bodybuilder. Jinwoo starts thinking about where to allocate the new stats he just got. Dude's sitting at level 18 now. He's now level 18. He knows that strength increases his damage, but he also knows it's pointless if he can't land a hit. Besides vitality, perception, and agility, he also got this intellect stat. He figures it's gotta be something to do with magic, but he ain't sure if he needs that. Jinwoo makes up his mind and dumps all his points into strength and perception. Right then, Jinwoo gets a call from his landlord, who's reminding him that he hasn't paid last month's rent. Lucky for our hero, he's gotten way stronger, and taking down goblins is a piece of cake now. That means making cash is easier, but there's one issue. To rake in the big bucks, he gotta tackle higher level gates, but ain't nobody letting an E-rank hunter through those doors. Jinwoo thinks about getting his rank reevaluated, but that's a huge risk. Reawakenings are mad rare, and ain't nobody has ever seen a hunter level up and keep getting stronger as he can. Jinwoo decides to keep his powers under wraps for now until he can defend himself and figure out more about what he can do. Then out of the blue, Jinwoo is shocked by a job listing and bolts off. The dude's hustling with his daily training to score some reward, and he links up with this hunter named Hung. Hung apologizes to Jinwoo because his crew thinks he's the weakest hunter ever, but Jinwoo plays it cool and lies, saying they ain't wrong. Hung explains they're heading into a C-rank dungeon, but they need at least 8 people to enter. They need Jinwoo to meet that quota, even if he's just an E-rank, but Jinwoo ain't gonna do any fighting. Hung's like, you won't get no rewards either, but we'll hook you up with 2 million yuan. Our hero peeps the situation and sees they have 4 C-rankers and 2 D-rankers. Jinwoo agrees to join, and Hung explains that his gig will be to carry supplies. They must not have a healer because they gotta haul med stuff. Hung adds that it's tough for independent parties to snag healers. Jinwoo's a bit worried because this party's full of tanks and damage dealers, but he's like, screw it, I'll sign the contract anyways. A 20-year-old D-rank hunter named Leo was introduced, and Jinwoo figures he must come from a loaded family given his fancy gear. Leo wonders if Jinwoo can handle lugging around all the heavy supplies, but Jinwoo assures him he'll be fine. Leo has no clue that Jinwoo's a beast, and he's tripping if Jinwoo can handle carrying all that heavy crap. Leo starts spouting off about the president overseeing the construction site they're at, blabbering on about how the guy skipped town after swindling 900 billion yuan, leaving everyone astonished. They all roll up to this freaking massive gate and start thinking if it's really just some C-rank dungeon. Leo questions if they'll be alright, so Jinwoo explains that the size of the gate ain't that important. What really matters is the magic power flowing from inside. And that's what the Hunter Association uses to assign ranks. Anything above a B rank, the big guilds take care of, so this C rank joint shouldn't be too much of a challenge. Jinwoo knows all this because he's been a hunter for a while, but he realizes he ain't never actually tackled a C rank dungeon before. They step through the gate and use the light to check things out, but damn, they're shocked to find there ain't no magical creatures in there. Most dungeons are lit up with glowstones, but this one's pitch black. The darkness reminds Jinwoo of the entrance to that temple, so he starts telling Leo about all sorts of stones. There are these essence stones that hunters nab from magic beasts, mana stones that can be mined from dungeons, and glow stones that light up the damn caves. Jinwoo shuts down that chatty kid real quick and spills the beans about some crazy magic beasts lurking in this dungeon. They're keeping a low profile for now, but our boy's got a hunch. He figures these beasts are like bugs and tells everyone. Everyone freaks out when they realize they're stuck in an ant's nest and can hear those monsters getting closer. Jinwoo says the beasts are above them, so the crew starts going all out, attacking like mad. Hung steps up and uses his taunt skill to draw most of the aggro, and Jinwoo is amazed by their badass leader, who's a C rank. Leo wants to join the fight, but their mage holds him back, saying he's got a trick up his sleeve. After a suspenseful countdown, the mage unleashes a wicked blast. Jinwoo analyzes the situation again, and he can see these hunters have some solid teamwork going on. As for Leo, his gear compensates for his lack of skills. They're all holding their own, but Jinwoo's got this nagging feeling that something's off. He quietly destroys one of the ants, and the fight ends shortly after. Hung declares their victory, and everyone grabs their share of the loot, except Jinwoo. Hung gives props to Jinwoo for saving them a ton of trouble by spotting those ants. Jinwoo's like, no, just followed my instincts. But then Hung noticed that some of the ants were messed up, and it wasn't from swords or magic. He thinks maybe some other magic beast got to them, but that would mean there's something even stronger lurking around here. Several ants were torn to shreds, so Hung wondered what could be big enough to take them down. Leo spills the beans about how his pops hooked him up with a bunch of sick gear for his first raid, and Jinwoo's stoked to hear that. He ain't sure why yet, but he tells Leo they gotta be extra careful. Over in another spot, a dude working out gets startled by a loud noise of destruction. But don't trip, someone tells him to chill because it's just their guild master training, and turns out it's Beak. This dude is a beast, and the kid's jaw drops when he sees Beak smash through a massive stone with just one hit. Beak doesn't even flinch and says it wasn't even a good warm-up. Back in the dungeon, Leo's still worried about Jinwoo carrying everything. But Jinwoo's like, no man, getting paid to not fight? That's a sweet deal. But deep down, our boy's thinking might be too good to be true. He does some more thinking and realizes this crew is battle-tested, but ain't got no healer. Plus, they needed more members to meet the party quota. The group gets worried because they've covered a ton of ground in the dungeon, but haven't come across a single healthy critter. The dungeon boss gotta be alive though, because the gate would have closed if it wasn't. They stumble upon a bunch of webs and figure out that the boss's lair must be through that tunnel. They go through the tunnel and damn, they find a crazy load of mana crystals. Now these crystals ain't as valuable as essence stones, but we're talking at least 1 billion worth of crystals. One of the hunters even says that Hung's brother would be hella jealous of this find, but they shut him down real quick. Hung's got some hidden motive, they think, because his brother can't always be right. Hung ain't about to play second fiddle to his bro, so he's gonna use this massive haul as his own personal strike team training ground. Now Leo is the legal whiz, so he takes a look at Jinwoo's contract and spots something fishy. He tells Hung that the contract only says Jinwoo ain't getting a cut of the battle drops, but mana crystals ain't battle drops. That means they gotta split their findings 8 ways instead of 7. Hung all smiles and agrees, but he reminds them that the dungeon boss is nearby. They gotta defeat that boss to close the gate, so they gotta haul those mana crystals out before they take on the spider boss. Lucky for them though, the spider's snoozing. But Hung flips out on one of the hunters because they forgot to bring the transport gear. Hung tells Leo and Jinwoo to chillax while they go fetch the gear, and he assures them that the spider won't wake up unless something pisses it off. Hung points out that they're both newbies to C-rank dungeons and tells them to just trust his decision. He's got some business to discuss with his team, so they're gonna take a break too. As they leave, Jinwoo starts analyzing the situation again. He finds it weird that they ain't got any experienced folks to call in and help them meet their quota. From a good distance, we peep at how wicked Hung is. He straight up orders one of his crew to seal off the boss's chamber. The dude follows through, and Leo realizes they got backstabbed. This is exactly what Jinwoo was worried about. He remembers how Song warned him that there are some real crooks in their line of work. Raiding dungeons is no joke. Accidents happen all the time. And in that chaos, crimes can go unnoticed. Ain't no security cameras in these dungeons, so as long as there ain't no survivors, there won't be no evidence. Leo is pissed that these dudes are really willing to throw them under the bus for some mana crystals. He's starting to regret even bringing up the damn contract. But Jinwoo ain't falling for it. They were ready to off them at any moment if they stepped out of line. Now their main concern is the boss that just woke up, and Leo tells Jinwoo to fall back. Jinwoo spots an exit, but he quickly realizes that Hung already knows about it. The spider's wide awake now, and Jinwoo realizes this C-rank beast is on a whole another level. But hold up, our boy ain't about to back down. He takes charge, telling Leo to stay out of the way because he's gonna throw down with this thing. Jinwoo summons his weapon and declares he's gonna beat its ass. When Hung's crew bails out of that dungeon, the mage is all like, why didn't they just take out those 2 newbies themselves? But Hung explains they couldn't risk waking up the spider, because they needed snoozing to grab those sweet mana crystals. He ain't worried though, because some dude with 0 experience and the weakest hunter ever ain't got no chance against that spider. The plan is to wait for the spider to chow down on them and pass out again. They can't go in guns blazing because it would wake the spider up, but Hung knows about this little path above the cave. Worst case scenario, the spider doesn't pass out after munching on the newbies. If their crew can't nab them mana crystals, their group will at least swipe Leo's gear, which is worth a fortune. Hung and the mage both agree they can't take on the spider themselves, and Hung makes it clear the spider shouldn't be slept on. That boss is straight up deadly, and it's just a matter of time before those newbies get smoked. Inside the dungeon, Leo tries to talk Jinwoo out of fighting the boss, because only a B-rank hunter could take down a C-rank dungeon boss solo. Even an elite level C-rank wouldn't stand a chance, so Leo thinks they should bounce and find a way out. Jinwoo recognizes that Leo's right. Even though he's had a second awakening and leveled up, he still sees himself as weak. The Golem and Venom bosses were both D ranks, so this spider is on a whole another level. Jinwoo can't explain it, but he ain't feeling any pressure right now. He realizes he must have gotten strong enough to not fear C-rank bosses anymore. He's at level 18 and straight up claims he's got a shot at taking it down. Once he starts attacking that spider, he's like, well, the real hunt begins now. Over in another spot, this big shot named Goto, the president of the Hunters Association, is exhausted from being stuck in a bunch of boring meetings. His driver offers to spar with him to cheer him up, and Goto can't say no when a young buck looks up to him. Back in that dungeon, Jinwoo realizes the spider's skin is hella tough. Its attacks pack a crazy punch, and if Jinwoo gets tagged even once, he's a goner for sure. Leo closely watches Jinwoo's movements and instantly figures out that this ain't how no E-rank hunter moves. He's wondering who the hell Jinwoo really is, and starts questioning if he's some fake-ass ranker. Only a handful of hunters can control their magic power enough to purposely get a lower rank. Them folks are called false rankers, and usually they're psychos who get a kick out of killing. Leo's starting to regret going into that dungeon, and Jinwoo realizes he can't even put a dent in that spider's tough hide. Jinwoo's fatigue is skyrocketing, and the dude needs to wrap this fight up real quick. His dagger's got some sick paralysis and drain powers, so he figures that's gonna be his ticket to victory. Jinwoo's gotta target the spider's weak spot with those moves, but damn, he's hella surprised when the spider busts out an acid attack. Jinwoo's gotta close the gap, so he decides to use a cool new skill called Dash. He uses it to smack that spider right in the face, but his dagger's debuffs don't stick. Jinwoo ain't one to throw in the towel though. He decides to keep wailing on that spider as much as he can. Dude's pushing himself harder and harder, but his fatigue catches up to him, and that spider lands a nasty hit. Jinwoo's about to get squashed, but guess what? He remembers he's got a reward left from his daily quest, so he cashes it in and fully recovers. Leo's freaking out, thinking Jinwoo's a goner, but our hero ain't done yet. He lands another hit, and this time he straight up stabs that spider in the eye, getting those dagger debuffs going. Jinwoo ain't wasting this chance, so he stabs that spider over and over, keeping those debuffs going strong. Eventually, that spider just can't take it anymore and goes down for the count. A notification pops up, saying Jinwoo just took down the dungeon boss. Jinwoo knows he got lucky not picking a reward before diving into that dungeon, because he'd be 6 feet under right now for sure. Leo's mind is blown, seeing Jinwoo take down a dungeon boss all by himself. He's more convinced than ever that Jinwoo's some kind of fake ranker. Jinwoo scores a gem from that spider, and Leo rolls up, offering to carry their supplies from now on. Leo straight up idolizes Jinwoo now, telling him to chill and take a break while he handles the mana crystals. Just then, Hung and his crew show up, and they're hella surprised to see the newbies still kicking. In a training room, Goto straight flexes on Wu, showing off his mad skills by totally overpowering him like it's no biggie. Goto gives props to Wu, saying he feels way better now. Wu's mind is blown that the prez ain't even rusty. Goto explains he ain't as strong as before, but he can tell Wu's been grinding hard. Wu acknowledges that training can't level up a hunter, but it can level up their skills. Goto points out that a hunter's gotta be physically and mentally strong, especially in dungeons where you have the worst kind of people lurking. Back in the dungeon, Hung's crew concludes that the newbies only survived because this spider must have been dumb as a rock. They straight up clown the spider for losing to low-level hunters. Hung spills the beans to Leo that he knows Leo's from a rich family, but Leo's like, who cares? That's when Hung drops the bomb and tells Leo he's only getting one chance. He tells Leo to straight up off Jinwoo. Hung's like, usually we kill the people we recruit for our party so we can keep all the loot ourselves. But hey, if Leo agrees to join us, we won't off him. If Leo says no, we'll just kill them both. Hung thinks Leo might be a threat because he has some crazy gear that gives him superpowers to take down the spider. He'd rather not test that theory, so he wants to talk Leo into taking on weak-ass Jinwoo. Hung's stoked when Leo starts heading toward Jinwoo, but then he's all shocked when Leo ends up taking Jinwoo's side. This evil group decides to straight up end their lives, and Hung's wondering if the newbies ever had to off any peeps before. Right then and there, Jinwoo gets an urgent mission, and it's straight up wild because he gotta take out 6 enemies in front of him. Now the gang decides to go after the weaker one, so the mage attacks Jinwoo. Leo's all worried about his new buddy and freaked when he sees how messed up Jinwoo is. Meanwhile, one of the group members, Chahi, was told to brag about how amazing she was. They struggled with an rank beast, but she took it down in a flash. These girls feel lucky because they are in 2 of the sickest guilds around. After all, there are all sorts of messed up stories about the other squads, like those strike teams with crazy high death rates. Back in the dungeon, Hung's like, it's game over, Jinwoo's done for. Jinwoo starts beating himself up for forgetting, and reminds himself that this world is all about survival of the fittest. It's a world full of shady tricks and backstabbing. He's straight up fuming because he forgot this truth and realizes he got numb to it. Jinwoo's chilled out now, and he's thinking about how he straight up messed up because he was careless and too damn cocky. This level system is pushing him to kill, so he's wondering if it needs him alive for some reason. He figures this system ain't just being nice, it wants him alive. But that's not all, it also wants him to be strong. So Jinwoo's like, if this system wants to use me, then I may use it right back. He tells the crew that they remind him that the weak ones are the ones who bite the dust in the dungeon. They are stoked to hear the weakest hunter knows how it goes, but Jinwoo points out that they better be ready for when this rule doesn't work in their favor. One of them ain't cool with Jinwoo calling them prey, but Jinwoo wastes no time showing them what he means. Everybody's straight up shocked when this dude's head gets sliced off, and Jinwoo's like, that's one down, as the kill count pops up on the updates. Jinwoo just realized he straight up murked someone, but he knows damn well he would have been 6 feet under if he hadn't. Ain't no turning back now because only the strong survive. The crew snaps out of their shock, seeing an E rank take out one of their D ranks, and they come at Jinwoo with all they have. But it's all futile because Jinwoo starts shanking them one by one. His debuffs kick in, and he takes out 2 more suckers. The archer is the next to bite the dust under Jinwoo's wrath, followed by the mage. Now there's only one left, and Leo's mind is blown, because Jinwoo's way stronger than when he faced the dungeon boss. Hung buffs up his body and thinks about how he is certain that Jinwoo is tired after dealing with the boss and 5 other hunters. Plus Hung's made his body as tough as steel, so he figures Jinwoo's dagger won't even scratch him. But Hung starts his attack, and our hero catches him off guard with his lightning speed. Jinwoo knows Hung's a beast, but he drops a bombshell on him. He crushes him and reveals he's been leveling up this whole damn time. Hung realizes Jinwoo ain't an E rank and tries to bribe him with double the cash. But Jinwoo ain't having none of it, because this dude tried to off him 3 times. Jinwoo mocks him, saying he won't get away with it, and Hung tries to threaten Jinwoo one last time. But Jinwoo reminds him that Hung himself said whatever goes down in a dungeon stays in a dungeon. Hung tries to play tough one last time, but Jinwoo straight up ends his sorry ass. Jinwoo's mission is accomplished, but the whole dungeon starts to crumble because they took down the boss. When they make it out, they're the only ones left standing after the spider showdown. The official ain't buying it because they're the lowest level peeps, but she gets distracted by some used gear. Jinwoo can't believe he's getting rewarded for the bloody mess he just caused, and he realizes he gained a skill that scares the crap out of enemies and cuts their abilities in half. The no-nonsense official concludes that Leo survived because of his gear and assumes Jinwoo, the E-rank scrub, just hid somewhere. Leo gives props to Jinwoo for a job well done, and then it starts raining. Leo wonders if something's up, but the chill Jinwoo explains he's just happy he gave his sister an umbrella. Somewhere else, Woo gets told about this crazy incident where 6 hunters got wiped out, and only 2 of them made it out alive. It's pretty normal for hunters to dip when they're outmatched in dungeons, but he's hella surprised when he hears that these survivors actually took down the dungeon boss before bouncing. Wu straight up interrupts the dude before he can spill more, but then he gets hit with a bombshell. One of the survivors is none other than Jinwoo. Wu knows this shit involves the infamous Hung, which explains why he got dragged into this mess. Jinwoo rolls back home and lets his sister know that he's gonna cover their mom's hospital bills for a while. Gina thinks he must have scored big cash from his last raid, but she's like, hold up, bro, you ain't even injured. She figures he must have had a solid-ass team making it easy to take down the bad guys. Jinwoo admits that it was a piece of cake, not just because he was way stronger than them, but also because he didn't hesitate to finish them off. In the past, he would have looked for an escape route, but the new Jinwoo was ticked off at them for even thinking they had a shot against him. He wonders if leveling up made him bold, but he reminds himself that they were humans, not dungeon monsters. Gina snaps him back to reality, and he remembers why he's getting stronger. It's so he can stay alive and hold it down for his family. So if he had to do what he did in that dungeon again, he would. Just then, some harmful substance gets detected in his body, and he realizes it's from what he's drinking. But Jinwoo keeps sipping, and he notices he ain't getting drunk at all. Then a notification pops up, revealing a reward he got from that double dungeon. It cancels out any toxic or messed up conditions and amps up his regenerative abilities. He was too busy to check his rewards that day, but now it all makes sense why he grew his damn arm back. Shit's getting real, my friends. Later on, Jinwoo links up with Leo, who's all grateful for Jinwoo saving his ass. But Jinwoo's like, no kid, you don't owe me shit. Leo hasn't spilled the beans about what really went down in that dungeon, so Jinwoo ain't expecting any payback. But then Leo drops a bomb. He's putting together a strike team, but Jinwoo shuts him down before he can even ask him to join. Leo's begging Jinwoo to give him a chance, saying he just needs him for 19 raids. He spills that he wants to become a guild master, and to do that, he needs at least 20 raids under his belt. Leo's old man wants to start a guild for his construction company, and Leo's down to help however he can. Dungeons are mad dangerous, but the loot they hold makes it all worth the risk. It ain't just about mana crystals and essence stones, everything in a dungeon's got value. Jinwoo gets it. Having hunters rate dungeons for a company is a solid business move. Leo's dad wants an S-rank hunter as the guild master, but Jinwoo's hella surprised because there are only 7 rank hunters in the whole damn country. And to make it worse, the only S-rank who ain't already in a guild is Min, and that dude's retired. This means Leo's pops must be planning to snatch an S-rank from another guild. But Jinwoo warns him about that shit because he's just gonna make enemies with the guild he takes them from. It's a risky game, my peeps. Leo switches up his game to convince Jinwoo and straight up tells him he gonna need some backup for their raids, especially if he wants to keep his power under wraps. And that's a genius move because it'll be way more convincing to his old man if he succeeds rolling with a low-rank hunter like Jinwoo who's playing pretend. Leo shows Jinwoo the building they're planning to use as the guild headquarters and says it's worth a crazy amount of money, like 30 billion yuan. That's some serious dough, man. Leo wants to give it all to Jinwoo in exchange for his help in completing 19 raids. Jinwoo would have been all over that offer in the past, but things have changed since he became the only dude who can level up. He's dead certain he can reach S rank or maybe even higher the way things are going. But there's still too much unknown about his powers, and it would be too risky to team up with someone. So Jinwoo shuts it down and declines the offer. Leo ain't ready to give up just yet though. He promises to take Jinwoo's secret to the grave, but one look from Jinwoo sends chills down his spine, and he bounces. Meanwhile, Hung's younger brother Wang is super pissed about his brother's death and demands to know about the 2 survivors. His assistant Laura is straight up shocked when he asks what happens if he kills someone in another country, but she spills the beans anyway. If there's a treaty with that country, he gonna have a trial there, but if not, he getting sent back home to face the law. Wang wants to dip out there pronto, but Laura reminds him he has way too much going on, so he plans to deal with it later. He gives the survivors one more glare and just hopes they stick around long enough for him to take them out. The next day, Jinwoo hits the streets for a jog with his sister. Jinwoo asks her what she'd do if she had a crazy 30 billion yuan, but she can't even imagine what to do with that kind of cash because it's too damn unrealistic. When Jinwoo's flying solo, he notices his system counter keeps ticking even after he hits his goal. Gina catches up to him, but he already made up his mind to test how far that counter goes, so he takes off running again. He figures out it stops at double the goal, and after trying out all the tasks, the daily quest goes undercover. The reward for this gig comes with some straight-up random loot boxes, but there's a catch: one's blessed and the other's cursed. Jinwoo ain't playing around, so he decides to roll with the blessed one for the day, and boom, he hits the jackpot. Homeboy scores another key, and it ain't just any key, it's the key to the Demon King's castle, and it is an S-level acquisition. But hold up, because that ain't even the craziest part. This key comes with a bonus ingredients for something called the Elixir of Life. And let me tell you, that's exactly what Jinwoo needed, because this elixir can cure any damn illness. Jinwoo pays a visit to his sick mother, and he knows he ain't got no other choice. He heads to the location, uses the key to open the gate, and he knows damn well this dungeon gonna be tough as nails, on the same level as Jeju Island. Jinwoo starts wondering if he has what it takes to handle this danger, but when a massive gate appears in front of him, he ain't backing down. Inside, flames are engulfing everything, and Jinwoo ain't gonna front, he's scared as hell. But hey, he got his teleportation stone as a backup plan in case things go south. Just then, a freaking giant monster pops up right in front of him. But Jinwoo already made up his mind he gotta get stronger, and he swears he ain't dying in this dungeon. This monster has a red name, meaning it's way stronger than him, but Jinwoo has the advantage of being a wolf assassin. Our boy uses dash to close the distance real quick and starts wailing at the beast. But man, he barely does any damage, even with the bonus effects. Jinwoo tries to activate his murderous intense skill, but the debuff gets cancelled out. Our boy tries to hit the monster with his other debuffs using his dagger, but they get cancelled out too. This monster is straight up brutal as it tears into Jinwoo, and he's screaming in pain. Damn, homeboy did lose his arm, and his health is dropping like crazy as the beast straight up crushes him. He already lost a third of his life, but it gets even worse, because this beast unleashes its 3-minute rage skill, boosting all its abilities by a freaking 100%. The monster's attacks are coming at Jinwoo too quick for him to dodge, so he ain't got no choice but to use his full recovery reward to grow his arm back. But just when he thinks he's making progress and hurting the beast, turns out he's dead wrong, and he just keeps taking a severe beatdown. Jinwoo's HP keeps dropping as he gets straight up stomped on, but he manages to buy himself a bit of time by kicking dirt at the beast. And damn, his system keeps warning him like crazy, making it crystal clear that it doesn't want him to kick the bucket. The more this keeps happening, the more Jinwoo realizes this ain't your average reawakening. Jinwoo knows he is way over his head now, so he decides to bust out the teleportation stone. But out of nowhere, Cerberus shows up and knocks that stone right out of his hand. Jinwoo's in deep trouble now, because he only got a few more hits before he's done for. The dude's brain is working overtime trying to think of a solution, and just when he's about to lose hope, he remembers he got a shop in his system. He quickly buys 3 healing potions, but here's the catch: they only heal 100 health points each. The poison he gonna face from fighting the snake pops right up in front of him, and he realizes he has no other choice but to give it a shot. Jinwoo chugs that poison like a boss, so the system picks it up as a harmful substance and detoxifies it. It's a complete success because Jinwoo's muscles stay intact, and now he takes 20% less physical damage. Cerberus ain't playing around, and it lands a straight devastating attack on Jinwoo. But Jinwoo ain't giving up just yet, man. Homeboy declares he can still move, and guess what? The 3-minute timer on the monster's rage skill is up. The effects wear off, and now the damage Jinwoo inflicted on its eye starts taking its toll on the beast. Jinwoo seizes the opportunity and starts landing multiple attacks, finally making a dent in that sucker. The beast almost chomps him up, but Jinwoo somehow manages to hold it back. Dude goes airborne, but that powerful monster smashes him right back into the ground. Jinwoo finds himself in a tight spot once again, with his health damn near depleted and Cerberus squeezing him between its teeth. But Jinwoo ain't done fighting just yet. He digs deep and keeps stabbing that beast, even as it tosses him around like a Zoro. Jinwoo keeps on attacking, pouring every ounce of strength he has into one final blow. And guess what? That's the knockout punch right there. Cerberus comes crashing down, and a notification pops up. It says Jinwoo has defeated Hell's Gatekeeper. Homeboy levels up several times and his wounds magically heal. Killing the Gatekeeper earns Jinwoo the key to the demon's castle. He figured that's what Cerberus was protecting, but then he gets hit with a mysterious notification. It's the recipe for the elixir of life, and it requires 3 ingredients found in the castle. Jinwoo's fight with Cerberus gives him a clear idea of his current strength, and he realizes something. If he were to venture into the demon's castle right now, he'd be 6 feet under for sure. Jinwoo concludes that he can't do it just yet, but he makes a promise he gonna come back real soon. After that, Jinwoo heads over to see his mom and wonders if he can really cure her eternal sleep disease. He ain't got none of the 3 things he needs for the elixir of life, but at least he knows where to find them. But damn, trying to enter the castle at his current level would straight up lead to his death. That's why he's gotta level up and get stronger, no doubt. To help with that, Jinwoo decides to roll with Leo on the 19C rank raids he was talking about earlier. Jinwoo's got one condition though, and Leo's hella shocked when Jinwoo says they gotta do the raids just the 2 of them. No one else. But Leo says what the hell, because rank C gates require at least 8 team members to enter. But Jinwoo wants them to go with a hung strategy, so they gotta hire enough hunters to meet the quota. Leo's kinda hesitant because it could be risky as hell. But Jinwoo points out that if just the 2 of them can beat 19 raids, that's gonna be mad impressive, and it's all about impressing his old man. Leo agrees to go to hell and says he'll handle everything. In another spot, Chahi's getting her exercise on, running in circles, and taking a sec to gulp down some water and replenish her body's fluids. She ain't playing around because she knows someone's been creeping on her. So this dude named Yoon finally comes out of hiding and introduces himself. On the other side, Leo's dad tells Leo how shit's gone crazy since the gates showed up 10 years ago. The world's infrastructure can't even function no mo without the resources from them dungeons. Only the hunters can get those crucial resources, so they're hella important, and the Hunters Association keeps an eye on them. They oversee a lot of stuff, including managing the gates, but they are not the ones that benefit the most. The guilds are the ones raking in the dough from the dungeons, scooping up the vast majority of their vital resources. They are balling rich, man. We talking about the Hunter Guild, White Tiger Guild, Reaper Guild, Fame Guild, and Knights Guild, the top 5 guilds in the whole country. They got a monopoly on all the profits from their dungeons. But Leo's pops ain't having none of that. He ain't letting it go on like that. He knows they gotta establish their own guild to achieve his goal, straight up. Leo's thinking about how risky it would be to hire some unknown's rank to partner up with his bro. But if his pops picked him as the guild leader instead, that problem could be solved. Over at the park, Jinwoo's doing his own running. Homeboy notices that any extra exercise he does ain't getting counted anymore. That damn cursed loot box he was offered before ain't even an option now. So he pulls out a regular loot box, hoping to find something good, but all he gets is a bingo card. Not what he was hoping for, man. Time goes by and Jinwoo keeps training, but he realizes the 3 points he's getting ain't doing much anymore because he leveled up. Leo still gotta get his shit together before they can enter the C-rank dungeons, but Jinwoo has a realization. If he can get back into that penalty zone, he might be able to take on that centipede he faced before. But he knows the fight might be tougher than he thinks, and there ain't no guarantee he'll get any experience points from it. Just then, Jinwoo gets a notification to join a D-rank mission. But hold up, it's from the Hunters Association, so that means he won't be able to fight solo. Over at some dojo, Song finishes up schooling some kid, teaching him a lesson. The kid's like, "Damn, I wish I fought you when you were at your best." But Song's real with him, saying he can't change the fact that he only has one arm now. Then Song gets a notification to join a raid, and the kid's like, "Why you ain't retired yet?" Song has some messed up memories, and he's missing a major part of his body, so the kid apologizes for making him feel down. Song explains that his prime years are in the past, but he still wants to contribute to society in his remaining time. Over in another spot, we got this kid playing while her scaredy cat dad Kim watches. He gets the same notification and knows it's his next raid. His wife reminds him that he barely made it out alive from his last one, and she wants him to consider doing something else. But Kim tells her they need the money because their kid's starting school soon. He assures her that it's gonna be all good because the Hunters Association doesn't send low-ranked hunters on dangerous missions except for that one time. So the whole fam starts professing their love for each other and shit. In another spot, Beak is straight up pissed about having to do some useless interview, and it only makes him angrier when Mr. Choi tries to butter him up. But he chills out when Choi points out that he's the most fit for the job. Turns out Choi called him to his office to let him know that Yujin Construction is starting its own guild. But Beak already knows all that, so he demands Choi tell him what he's really there for. In Juhi's room, her mom straight up tells her to give up on being a hunter. Juhi's a B-rank hunter, but her mom still thinks she'll just get in everyone's way. She wants Juhi to come home, but that just sets Juhi off. She declares that her mom needs to stop Trina control her life. Juhi says she can make her own decisions and proves it by hanging up on her. Juhi admits she might be in the way, but she still wants to try and get better, and right then, she also gets the notification about the D-rank raid. Back at the office, Chahi walks by Beak and tells Choi that some scout approached her. Turns out it was from Yujin Construction, and they wanted her to be their guild master. But she turned down the offer, though now she's curious about what they talked to Beak about. Beak's chilling at a bar, thinking about their convo. Jojo Island's been sealed off since that failed raid, and folks Trina forget about the terror it brought. Mr. Choi sees himself as the weapon of humanity, but he can never forget about Jojo Island and/or what happened there. He plans to clear the island soon, and for that, he needs Beak and the crew on the same page. They gotta get stronger, gather allies, and sway public opinion. That's why he set up the interview and had Chahi train new hunters. Choi reminds Beak that he left something behind on that island, jogging Beak's memory about losing his old friends. In a dark place, an ugly man is pleading with someone to eliminate people. At Jinwoo's house, Gina's straight up shocked by how busy he's been. The old Jinwoo used to need weeks to recover after each gate, so she's wondering if all his training is paying off. Jinwoo casually dips out on a mission without taking his gear, and she's worried because he's acting like it's just a regular trip to the sea. In another spot, Song's thinking about how he's a swordsman, but his awakened ability ain't got nothing to do with physical power. All them years he spent training in martial arts don't mean jack inside a dungeon. His magic focus powers make his sword useless against them magical beasts. Then out of nowhere, he bumps into Jinwoo and notices how different he looks. Jinwoo can't really explain why his leg's back, so Song assumes some high-ranked healer must have found him that day. Song ain't as lucky because too much time passed for his injury to heal. They reach the gate and are surprised to see it's a reunion. Kim feels ashamed to face them, but Song figures it makes sense after what he did. 5 survivors from that messed up day are back together, so he's wondering what the deal is. It's been a hot minute since Juhi saw Jinwoo, so she peeps how much he's changed too. Right then, some sketchy dudes roll up and start checking out Juhi like they have a thing for her. But Kong's there too, and he shuts them down, telling them to chill. Turns out these peeps are prisoner substitute hunters. Straight up hunter convicts Trina reduce their sentences. Song can't believe they gotta fight alongside criminals, but the woman assures them they won't be a problem. They were understaffed and had no other choice. Just in case though, Kong's rolling with them. He is a B rank, so if things go south, he can handle the 3 C rank criminals with ease. Jinwoo tells Juhi not to come along, but she ain't having it. The criminals get set free, and even they wonder if this is a good idea. Kong shuts them up again and reminds them what'll happen if they act up. He introduces himself to the others and promises he'll handle the criminals. Jinwoo lets Song take charge of the raid, and he appreciates it. Song takes full responsibility for failing that day and gives props to Jinwoo for being the only reason they all made it out alive. He thanks Jinwoo on behalf of all the survivors, but Jinwoo doesn't need it. Kim ain't got no objections to Song leading them, and Kong's staring at Jinwoo for some reason. Everyone gets ready to enter the gate, and Song declares the raid officially started. Inside the dungeon, the prisoners straight up handle those goblins like monster. Song Chuo wonders who the real beasts are and shows off his own power. They eventually wipe out the whole group of goblins, and Song's impressed with how much stronger Jinwoo's become. Even Juhi notices that Jinwoo ain't been hurt yet, and she hopes nobody ends up needing her healing skills. Song's still amazed because Jinwoo's aura is on a whole different level. Kong leads them forward, but they come across a fork in the path. The dungeon's been easier than they thought, so they figure it's cool to split up. It's gonna be riskier, but they'll clear the dungeon faster. Jinwoo can sense the boss is down the left path, but he keeps it to himself. Because he ain't been leveling up much from those weak-ass goblins, Jinwoo suggests his group take the left path. They split up, but Kong's giving Jinwoo some weird-ass look. Kim's group members are a bunch of cowards, and Kim decides they gotta apologize to Jinwoo for ditching him on their first raid. They know he probably won't accept the apology, but Kim's determined to try because he wants to keep being a hunter. Down the other path, the prisoners straight up wipe out another group of goblins with ease. Kong, being all weird, asks if they could do the same against humans, but they make it clear it wouldn't make a damn difference. Here's the backstory. Kong found out some dude's daughter got assaulted by 3 dudes. The poor girl ended up taking her own life, and this guy's furious because those 3 scumbags will be free in just a few years. To make matters worse, those assholes are hunters, and they get to join raids to reduce their sentences. That shit's unfair as hell because his daughter ain't never coming home. So the man brings 3 million yuan and offers it to Kong to take out those 3 prisoners. Kong's gone straight up bonkers now, and he spills the beans to the prisoners about what he's gonna tell the inspectors when he dips out of the dungeon. He's gonna say the prisoners got wiped out by a gang of 100 goblins. Kim keeps going down his path, but he's shocked when it connects to Kong's path, and he finds Kong massacring the prisoners. Kong starts telling the prisoners he's been told to make them suffer, but Kim interrupts his crazy ass. Cold-blooded Kong takes out the last prisoner and decides he's gotta change his plans as he starts making his way toward Kim. Jinwoo's thinking about how Kong saw him at the hospital, and he just hopes the dude doesn't remember him. Just then, they hear screams, and they rush over to find the dead prisoners. Turns out Kang got eliminated too, and Jinwoo's shocked when he sees Kim in bad shape. Juhi works her healing magic on him, but Song can tell this ain't the doings of no magical beast. The weapon used was too damn sharp, and whoever used it purposely avoided finishing him off multiple times. Kim's given up on surviving, but Jinwoo reminds him he's got a family. Jinwoo demands he stay alive, otherwise he won't be able to keep blaming him. Kim uses his last breath to apologize to Jinwoo, then he's gone. Right then, Kong tries to take out Juhi, but Jinwoo steps in and stops him. Kong's impressed by Jinwoo's speed, and Song realizes Kong's the one behind this whole massacre. Song's shocked because Kong's part of the Hunters Association, but Kong just wants to spill his plan. Instead of blaming the goblins, Kong's gonna say the prisoners wiped out all the other hunters. He'll claim they tried to take him out, but failed, which is why he's the lone survivor. Song holds Jinwoo back because he doesn't think he can take on Kong. Instead, Song Chul steps up to fight him, even though he knows Kong's a B rank, a whole level above him. Juhi buffs Song up with strength, and he tries to use his sword skills to take Kong down. But damn, Kong manages to dodge every damn hit, and he gives props to Song Chul for knowing his shit. Jinwoo analyzes the situation and realizes Song Chul's holding his own, but he ain't fast enough to win. Kong lands a brutal blow, but gets annoyed when Juhi quickly heals Song. Kong decides he's gonna take out Juhi first, but Song steps in and stops his ass. Kong underestimated the old man, so Song lets him know he's trained as rank hunters before. His blade may be outmatched, but Kong points out that Song's power has its damn limits. Ain't no chance a mage type like him can beat an assassin type, so Kong brings him near death. Juhi's too scared to heal him, and Kong gets ready to finish off Song for good. But Song Chul pulls out his fire ability. But damn, Kong's too damn quick. He realizes Song Chul used his sword to make him drop his guard against magic. Song Chul was waiting for Kong to try and end his life, then bam, he hits him with a surprise fire blast. Kong sees through the plan though, and now Song Chul's paying with his life. But wait a damn minute. Jinwoo finally steps in to put an end to the fight. Kong demands to know who the hell he is, and Jinwoo straight up says he's just an E-rank hunter. Kong doesn't believe him because he'd need some next level reaction speed to stop the attack he just used on Song. Kong can tell Jinwoo's hiding his power and figures he had a second awakening. The others are shaken, and Kong suddenly remembers Jinwoo from the hospital. The mana reader only read 10 back then, so Kong thinks this second awakening must have happened after that. This shit doesn't add up. It doesn't explain why Jinwoo was able to survive the double dungeon. But Kong doesn't give a damn, he's ready to take out Jinwoo. Jinwoo wants answers, so Kong says he is just dishing out justice by taking out the prisoners. But Jinwoo doesn't give a damn about them, but he wants to know why he eliminated Kim and Kang. He points out that Kong could have done it quickly and easily, but he didn't. Kong seemed to enjoy torturing and playing with them. Flashback to when Kong talked to the father, and he explains how he's been getting big offers from the top guilds. But he chooses to work for peanuts in the Hunter Association. Why? Because he finds killing people way more fun than killing beasts. A straight-up fight goes down between Kong and Jinwoo, and the two onlookers are blown away by their insane speed. Kong can tell they have similar builds, but he figures he's got way more experience fighting high-ranked opponents. He uses that experience to gain control of the fight, but he's shocked when Jinwoo asks him to tone down the bloodlust. But it's too damn late because Jinwoo's system is taking notice. The system, just like last time, tells Jinwoo that there are peeps present looking to take him out. Once again, Jinwoo gets a quest to eliminate his opponents. Jinwoo gets engulfed in some dark power, and Kong's confused because he thought he'd have the upper hand in this fight. But damn, Jinwoo straight up attacks, and Kong's shocked when he realizes he's been poisoned. They keep throwing down, but Kong's got something special to show Jinwoo too. He straight up disappears. He explains it's a stealth skill, making him invisible to sight, sound, and even smell. Only a few hunters can get their hands on that skill, and nobody knows he's got it. Kong manages to land a hit on Jinwoo and tells the others to back off and wait their turn. He's sure Jinwoo won't be able to do much with an injured leg. But damn, Kong's in for a surprise when Jinwoo instantly heals himself. Kong can't believe it because he's never heard of a combat hunter who can also use healing magic. Jinwoo's totally unpredictable, and that makes him one dangerous mofo. Jinwoo's changed big time, saying he just lost another emotion, and now he doesn't even need to get angry to take out scum like Kong. Kong realizes Jinwoo's taken human lives before, and Song is shocked to hear that. He figures Jinwoo's had to make some tough-ass decisions real quick, and that's why his appearance ain't the only thing that's changed. Kong tries to attack again, but he's in for a shock when Jinwoo tracks him by sensing his bloodlust. Kong still has a trick up his sleeve, but everything stops when Jinwoo activates his murderous intense skill. Darkness surrounds Kong, and he's straight up stunned when Jinwoo's blade goes through his chest. As Kong's life slips away, he mentions that he and Jinwoo are cut from the same cloth. They're both killing machines. The only reason he's dying is because he's weaker than Jinwoo. Kong still wants to know what the hell Jinwoo is. He's got assassin skills, healing powers, and debuffs, and Kong's never heard of anyone like that. Jinwoo doesn't spill the beans, but Kong points out that Jinwoo was able to take him out, so his E-ranked act is over. Jinwoo decides to drop a little truth bomb and explains that he's someone who gets stronger with every damn fight. Kong can see that Jinwoo's gonna keep getting stronger and stronger, but he's got a warning for him: if he keeps chasing more and more power, that same power might end up taking control of him. Jinwoo completes his quest and gets rewarded. He's noticed that the stronger he gets, the more it feels like something inside him is falling apart. His friends thank him for saving their asses, but Jinwoo tells them to get the hell out of the dungeon. They're shocked because Jinwoo plans to clear the dungeon all by his lonesome, but they realize he's strong enough to pull it off. Outside, Woo's mind is blown when he learns Kong is secretly killing folks. He is shown the only survivors of the mission Kong was on, and he's straight up surprised to see that Jinwoo's one of them. He apologizes for what went down, but most importantly, he wants to know who took out Kong. Jinwoo realizes he can't keep his secret anymore, which means he gotta cancel his deal with Leo. Right before he spills the beans, Song straight up lies and claims he's the one who eliminated Kong. Song's just a C rank, so he explains he only won because he had a healer's help. Woo's skeptical because Kong's a top B rank hunter, but he buys Song's story. Just then, Jinwoo reminds himself that he cannot get overconfident. He couldn't tell before, but Woo's an A-rank hunter. Jinwoo can sense his crazy-ass power now, and he knows he doesn't stand a chance against this dude in a fight with his current strength. Song determines that Jinwoo has a good reason for keeping a secret, so he tells Jinwoo that this is just him paying him back for what happened in the double dungeon. That night, Juhi wonders if Jinwoo remembers the stone he gave her. Jinwoo and Juhee take a little stroll while chatting about how much Jinwoo's changed. Juhee's the total opposite because she ain't changed a bit, and she realizes she's too timid to be a hunter. She should really be joining them a rank raids, but she settles for the lowest rank ones instead. It ain't all that bad though, because it led her to meet Jinwoo and she started healing him. The dude was always getting himself hurt, but she'll never forget how his eyes always had that determined look. Juhee gives back the crystal he gave her and spills that she's gonna retire. She's heading back to live with her folks, but they agree to hang out if they ever cross paths again. A look back shows that Woo was very skeptical of Jinwoo. He didn't believe some E rank like him could take down B rank Kong. Jinwoo was already found to not have had a reawakening, so we just let him be. But Woo did give him a warning though. Hun's brother Dongsu heard that Jinwoo and Leo were the only ones who survived after his brother got wiped out, so he might be coming after them. This shit's damn shocking because Dongsu's an S rank hunter. Dongsu probably doesn't give a damn about the facts and is just pissed that Jinwoo made it while his brother didn't. Unfortunately for Jinwoo, the law can't do shit against S rank hunters, and they can bring either miracles or disasters. One of these monsters is after Jinwoo, so Woo suggests he gather his family and dip out of the country. But Jinwoo just sees this as another reason to get stronger, because if he doesn't, he ain't gonna survive. Jinwoo rolls up to meet Leo, but he's hella confused by what he sees. Leo explains that this is their strike team. He focused on finding people who have the skills to be hunters, but can't work for various reasons and are struggling to make ends meet. Jinwoo points out that he hired a high schooler, but she claps back saying she's a qualified hunter just like the rest. She does get a bit down when Jinwoo figures out she's an E rank with no raiding experience. But it doesn't really matter because Jinwoo lets them all know they'll be waiting outside while he and Leo handle everything. They're all getting paid 3 million yuan each, which is a sweet deal because they ain't gotta do shit. The only catch is they can't blab about it to anyone, or they gotta pay back 10 times what they got. Jinwoo got a stealth rune for taking down Kong, and he used it to learn stealth skills. Leo's all set to go, and Jinwoo's shocked to see he's rocking even more crazy expensive armor. Jinwoo straight up schools Leo on how dumb it is to rock that armor and demands he ditch it. But Jinwoo lets him keep the helmet at least, and they step into the portal. The other hunters think they're straight up insane for hitting up a C rank dungeon on their own, but they don't give a damn because the contract's already sealed. Jinwoo's sis wonders where her friend Songyi is, and turns out she's the high schooler on Jinwoo's strike team. The hunters chat about how a full strike team would take a solid 2 hours to finish this raid, so when they see Leo pop out of the portal, they assume they just bailed. But they're in for a shock because the damn gate closes right after they step out, meaning they cleared the dungeon. The hunters can't believe their eyes, but Jinwoo tells them to hustle because he's ready for another portal. Their goal is to hit up 3 raids in a single day, but the hunters are still dumbfounded they even finished one. In another raid, Jinwoo straight up wrecks a bunch of goblins while Leo wraps up the mining. Jinwoo mops up the goblins and levels up. The next raid's a success too, and Jinwoo levels up even more. Days go by, and the two keep clearing dungeons on their own. They start facing tougher and tougher monsters, but Leo can see Jinwoo's getting hella stronger too. Jinwoo's stealth skill is hella handy, and his dash skill levels up. He gains a couple more skills and finds out they're straight up powerful when he uses them on a wolf. Jinwoo's got a bunch of new skills now, but his mana ain't enough to use them for long. He chugs a potion for that and decides he's gonna focus on boosting his intellectual abilities moving forward. He also decides against heading back to the Demon Castle right now, because he considers himself somewhere between a B rank and a rank hunter. Just then, the system reveals that he has reached the required level for a job change quest. Somewhere else, the boss of another guild named On gets word that there's a strike team splurging double the market rate to snag some C-rank gates. Their leader's this rich kid Leo, but their team seems like a random mix. On recognizes the name Jinwoo from the double dungeon incident, and he gets this feeling that something interesting is going down. Meanwhile, Jinwoo and Leo come out of another portal victorious. Jinwoo wonders if Songyi has some eye problem, but she says it's nothing. Back with On, his assistant is straight up shocked when he hears On thinking that Jinwoo's had a reawakening. Jinwoo managed to survive 3 major disasters, and every time there was a damn high body count, but he always made it out alive. Reawakening's the only explanation, so On heads out to scout this promising rookie. On rolls up at Jinwoo's portal, but he's hella shocked because it looks like they're having some sort of picnic. Song-Yi explains the area's off-limits and makes it clear she's a hunter. She admits she's part of the strike team, and An's mind is blown when he realizes Jinwoo straight up left the whole crew behind to enter the dungeon solo. An thinks Jinwoo could be his biggest discovery yet, but he surprisingly just leaves. The dudes step out the gate, and Jinwoo spills to Leo that he's swamped tomorrow and can't make it for any raids, so they hold off on a few. Then we get a glimpse of this super weird scene, and Mr. Choi wakes up from that nightmare. He peeps at some paperwork and figures out it's almost time for the recon mission on Jojo Island. Jinwoo wraps up his day of raiding, and An introduces himself as the manager of the White Tigers Guild. The White Tigers Guild is one of the top guilds in the country, always hunting for new talent. An thankfully gets right to the point and offers to pay Jinwoo double what Eugen Construction is paying him if he joins his guild. An's hella confident Jinwoo's in E rank and can't turn down that offer. But he's in for a surprise when Jinwoo wants to know the worth of the White Tigers Guild headquarters. It's worth a cool 50 billion, so the dude's mind is blown when Jinwoo reveals that a construction company's hooking him up with a building worth 30 billion. Jinwoo backs up his claim with evidence, but An reveals that he isn't qualified to offer them their 50 billion building. Jinwoo loses interest and bounces, but he's curious how An got wind of him. Jinwoo puts fear in this dude, making sure he ain't snooping around, and then vanishes. An realizes that Jinwoo used stealth to cut him, and he's hella shocked when he considers Jinwoo's reawakening with that stealth ability. Jinwoo tells him not to turn around, so An explains he's just digging into who's buying up all the gates. Jinwoo demands to know who else knows about him, and An spills it's just him and one of his peeps. Jinwoo warns that if word starts spreading about him, they'll be the first suspects on his list. An agrees to keep everything on the down low, so Jinwoo reveals himself again. Jinwoo gotta keep snatching the gates for a while, but that's causing problems for the guild because they need to train new recruits. Jinwoo agrees to let them cop 3 gates from him, but An's straight up shocked when Jinwoo tells him they gotta cough up 300 million yuan for each. The dude begs Jinwoo to drop it to 200 million, and Jinwoo surprisingly agrees. They seal the deal for 3 gates, but their interaction ain't over because Jinwoo wants to hook An up with something. He tells An to close his eyes and open his mouth, and then Jinwoo hands him a healing potion for that cut on his face. Jinwoo reveals he trusts An, but he reminds him to keep his trap shut. An's assistant wonders how it went down, and An tells him he thinks Jinwoo might be an even bigger deal than he originally thought. The next day, Leo confirms they got the 600 million yuan. Leo points out they were gonna ditch the gates anyway, so he can't believe Jinwoo managed to score so much cash for them. Leo wants to know more, but Jinwoo says it's a trade secret. Back with the White Tiger Guild, An realizes Jinwoo played him, because now there's a bunch of C-rank gates that have appeared selling for less than 70 million yuan. Jinwoo sends him a message informing him that they are now on an equal footing after spying on him. An realizes Jinwoo ain't someone to mess with, but he's glad he got his contact info. Elsewhere, we see Jinwoo heading out on a road trip to find out what this job change quest is all about. Jinwoo arrives in some forest far away from civilization because he has no clue what to expect from the job change quest. He already tackled 2 dungeons with keys, but those were mandatory quests like the penalty and emergency ones. But this job quest? It's optional, and they even gave him time to decide. Jinwoo figures it's a major event that's gonna level him up by getting skills perfect for his job, so he decides to accept, and the gate opens. Jinwoo just remembers he ain't done his daily quest yet, but he'll get to it later. He declares that the real game begins right now and steps into the gate. Meanwhile, Leo's having a meal with his father and his bro shows up too. Inside the dungeon, Jinwoo realizes he can't use potions or fully recover. He won't be able to leave until the quest is complete either, so he will have to be very careful. Suddenly, he hears something coming his way, and he gets ready for action. Turns out it's an armor-type beast, and Jinwoo wastes no time attacking it. But damn, his attack does nothing, and he was caught off guard by the monster's power. Jinwoo tries another hit, but it's still useless. He dodges a bunch of attacks and declares that he's faced stronger creatures with even tougher defenses. Jinwoo then uses his bare hands and tears the monster apart. Jinwoo ain't too thrilled because he basically wasted one use of his fatal strike skill. But he can't stay mad for long because he has some company. Meanwhile, Leo's dad wonders how Jisung's guild establishment efforts are going. He heard that all the S-rank hunters he reached out to turned him down. That's true, but Jisung explains he's talking to hunters from other countries. Leo realizes that this will be more competition for him, and he is shocked when Jisung reveals that he knows he has been working on something in secret. Jisung warns Leo not to get in his way because he knows what's up. Leo stays quiet, but he's certain Jisung wouldn't be talking like that if he knew how powerful his partner is. Back in the dungeon, Jinwoo straight up wrecking them monsters. He knows he's gonna need a rest soon, but he senses something and takes out another monster. He can't believe it was using stealth, and to top it off, a mage with light magic shows up. It's all kinda strange because Jinwoo feels like he's reliving his old battles with the first monster's armor and these monsters' skills. The quest turned out way tougher than he expected, but he ain't one to back down. He analyzes the situation on the go, and figures out what it takes to beat each enemy. The armored one needs serious strength to take damage, the stealthy one needs mad perception to be detected, and the mage gotta be countered with intellect. But Jinwoo ain't boosted that stat much. His fatigue's building up fast, so he knows he gotta end this fight soon. Elsewhere, Mr. Choi meets up with the other hunters because they are ready to head to Jojo Island. Back in the dungeon, Jinwoo manages to take down the monsters. He finds a chest plate as his reward and realizes he ain't done much with gear yet. He puts it on and's glad to see it can go invisible, and don't mess with his movement. Jinwoo's level has gone up, and he also has plenty of golden items. His fatigue has recovered as well, so he continues through the dungeon. Jinwoo opens the giant door, and the gust of wind that comes out of it gives him the chills. Inside is some kind of throne room, and he is shocked by what awaits him. The sound he hears and the presence he feels make his whole body remember something. The pressure he's feeling is on the same level as that double dungeon craziness. Jinwoo can't believe it because all that intensity coming from just one opponent. This enemy, a knight commander called Igris, got his name in red, and Jinwoo knows this dude ain't like any enemy he ever faced. Igris instantly attacks with intense speed, and Jinwoo is shocked to see that this guy chops through pillars like they are tiny tree branches. This monster overpowered Jinwoo quickly with his next hit, and Jinwoo had no chance of keeping up. He getting tossed around like a rag doll, and Jinwoo can't believe what a freaking monster this guy is. Jinwoo shows his insane speed as he throws a barrage of attacks, but his blade does nothing against the knight's armor. Jinwoo is barely able to block one attack, but he gets thrown back. He realizes they matched in speed, but Igris way more powerful than him. This dude was hella dangerous, and Jinwoo wondered if he got any shot at beating him. Jinwoo ain't too sure he can win without a weapon, but he only has one idea to deal some damage through Iggy's armor. He puts away his dagger, and to his surprise, the knight tosses his weapons aside too. Meanwhile, Mr. Choi gives a call to the chairman and shows his gratitude for approving the operation. The chairman warns him to stay careful, but Mr. Choi already knowing the danger involved. He is aware that this expedition is just about checking the threat levels. They're gonna poke at the enemy and see how they react. Mr. Choi staying diligent as always, and he explains that it's because the last raid on Jojo Island ain't really ended for him. Back in the dungeon, Igris wastes zero time crushing Jinwoo. He tosses Jinwoo around like he's some kind of toy, landing a barrage of punches on him. Jinwoo gets sent flying through a wall, and he is straight up shocked by his opponent. He blocked all them punches, but still feels like he lost 500 HP. Jinwoo is glad he rocked that armor because he'd be 6 feet under if he hadn't. He gotta admit he can't overpower this dude, so he decides to amp up his speed instead. Jinwoo flies around him and manages to finally push him back. He throws out a bunch more attacks, but it becomes crystal clear he ain't catching this guy again. The dude keeps tossing him around, and Jinwoo notices his skill also boosting his defense. He's still getting wrecked by this dude, getting dragged back into the room, but Jinwoo keeps fighting back. His efforts start paying off when Jinwoo pulls off a sick move, landing a kick straight to Iggis's head. Jinwoo realizes this might actually backfire on him, and the knight comes at him even harder. Jinwoo just keeps taking a straight-up beatdown, getting tossed onto the throne while Aegis looms over him. Back home, Gina leaves some dinner for Jinwoo and goes to study. We also catch a glimpse of Jinwoo's mom at the hospital. But back with Jinwoo, he is in really bad shape as the knight grabs his sword, ready to end Jinwoo's life. He went in for the kill, but Jinwoo was swift as hell, stopping him with just one hand. Jinwoo declares that he hasn't lost yet and pushes Aegis back. He summons his blade and manages to stab the knight through the gap in his helmet. Jinwoo puts all his power into pushing Aegis back and slamming him against the wall. The knight tries to use Jinwoo's blade, but Jinwoo stops him, saying his dagger doesn't switch owners. It just goes back to his inventory, where he can summon it again. Jinwoo drives his blade through the knight's skull, but the hit ain't deep enough. He knows he gotta go deeper, so he uses every last ounce of power to drive the blade further into the knight. Jinwoo pulls out all his fatal strikes and lands the most powerful blow he ever dealt. The knight has gone completely limp. Jinwoo takes out his blade, and a notification pops up saying he won the fight. Jinwoo realizes there's a huge gap between them in every category, and he knows his win was a straight-up fluke. If he made just one mistake, he'd be 6 feet under. Jinwoo then gets 4 rewards. One of them is 15 million gold, and another is the S-rank helmet Aegis wore. The Demon's Castle key was S-rank, but Jinwoo never had gear this top-notch before. Amazingly, the helmet boosts his stats and reduces damage by 15%. Jinwoo also gets a rune stone for a skill called the Ruler's Hand. The final reward is an instant teleportation stone. Can't stash it in his inventory, so he's wondering why he getting it now. It doesn't make sense to get it after clearing the dungeon, so Jinwoo is wondering if the job change quest ain't actually over yet. Just then, Jinwoo was straight up shocked when a bunch of portals opened up. A notification pops up, revealing that the job change quest actually starting right now. Jinwoo was told to survive as long as possible to rack up advancement points. He gotta earn them points to move up in class, but Jinwoo ain't got a clue what that means. A timer pops up, and Jinwoo realizes he is about to face an endless wave of enemies. He is relieved to see these fools ain't as strong as Aegis, because he knows he'd be overwhelmed in seconds if they were. Jinwoo is confident he can handle them, but damn, there's a whole damn army of them. But Jinwoo ain't scared, he charges right at them. Meanwhile, we watch as the other hunters fly off to Jojo Island. After a while, we are back with Jinwoo, still in the thick of the fight because the gates keep spitting out more enemies. The real deal with this quest is to survive as long as possible, so Jinwoo starts using his stealth skills. He gotta manage his mana, so he can buy himself as much time as he can. Jinwoo's plan is completely ruined though, when a mage breaks his stealth. He right back to throwing fists, but now it's even worse because he can't use stealth or murderous intent no more. Jinwoo takes a sword straight to his back, and he is straight up shocked when he realizes it's only been 5 minutes. Shit getting way too dangerous, and Jinwoo knows he can't keep going. He hates to do it, but he decides to teleport out of the dungeon. But before he can, some monster knocks the stone right out of his hand. Now Jinwoo is in deep shit as the huge group of enemies descends on him. Jinwoo continues to get thrashed about by the monsters, and there is no way out now that he has lost the teleportation stone. The only shot he got at surviving is if he whoops all their sorry asses, so Jinwoo gets back in the fight. It's looking pretty damn dire though, because his stamina running on empty and he can't use stealth or murderous intent. But you know our boy never gives up, he is dead set on staying alive. Jinwoo keeps fighting for his life, and he thinks about how he has been living at the bottom his whole damn life. He could never give up on chasing more, and this moment ain't no different. Jinwoo's knuckles are all messed up, and his heart starts racing. Just then, the monsters start talking. The voices saying Jinwoo got the nickname of the weakest hunter in mankind. They mocked him because he had to go to the hospital after going through a rank gate. Just then, the imaginary Song Cheol and Juhi show up, and they tell Jinwoo to stop forcing himself to fight. After that, Jinwoo's younger self appears and says he come a long way already, so that should be enough. His old self can't even recognize the new Jinwoo because he is taller and in a way better shape. But he explains that the changes are only on the surface. Deep down, Jinwoo is still weak, and he is about to die again. The old Jinwoo says Jinwoo always gonna be E-rank hunter, a dreamer who never learned his place in the world. Jinwoo dodges some attacks, but he can't keep it up because he getting crushed. Young Jinwoo tells him he getting what he deserves for thinking he was ready for this kind of fight. Them words start making Jinwoo wonder if he really ain't changed at all. Just then, a notification reveals that the time is up on his daily quest and he will have to be penalized for not completing it. Lucky for him, that means he gonna be taken to the penalty area. Jinwoo finally got it. Luck is a skill factor, and young Jinwoo figured whoever was behind all this didn't want him dead just yet. He says his goodbyes and Jinwoo gets transported to the penalty zone. When he gets there, he feels grateful because this penalty actually saved his life. Jinwoo wondered though if it was really just luck or if the system keeping him alive. He decides not to overthink it and pops some potions to recover his stamina. Damn unfortunate though, because a notification saying if he too messed up, potions won't heal his HP. He gotta either wait and heal naturally or level up to get restored. Just then, a whole bunch of the monsters from earlier show up, and Jinwoo saying as long as he doesn't die, any pain he feels just gonna make him stronger. Back at home, Gina notices Jinwoo ain't come back and wonders if he got himself a girl. She decided that ain't possible and just hoped he remembered to be there for her guardian teacher meeting. Back with Jinwoo, he has defeated the monsters he was once terrified of and has recovered his health from leveling up. He got 10 minutes left in the penalty zone, so he used that time to cop the Night Killer Dagger. This weapon is perfect because it does 25% more damage to armor-type beasts. Jinwoo uses the rune he got from fighting Igris, and it gives him the active skill called Ruler's Hand. Surprisingly, it doesn't use mana, and it lets him mess with objects without touching them directly. He remembers Igris using this on his sword, but Jinwoo tests it and finds that he can't move large objects yet. Time is almost up, so Jinwoo declares that he will have to rely on a little bit of luck to carry him to the end. Jinwoo gets teleported back to the dungeon and gets ready for another round of fighting. Back with the other hunters, they getting closer to Jojo Island. Choi is told that there are multiple sources of mana in the water, and Choi is straight up shocked by what he sees. In the dungeon, Jinwoo feels really good about how his Night Killer Dagger performing, but he can't shake this weird feeling he getting. He keeps killing their beasts, but it doesn't feel like he actually doing it. Jinwoo is more worried about the mages casting spells without actually attacking. Just then, Jinwoo realizes that they are responsible for opening the gates and summoning the knights. He decides to go after the mages and finds out that taking down one of them makes some of the knights fall apart. Knowing this, he goes after the rest of the mages and starts taking control of the fight. The mages try to hide behind the knights, but Jinwoo manages to take out another one, leaving 3 mages still standing. These sneaky last 3 combine their power and summon a golem, so Jinwoo makes his way to higher ground. He can disable it for a moment and think about how them dumb mages probably thought one strong monster was better than a bunch of small ones. Jinwoo points out that this is wrong though, since having fewer targets makes it easier to go after the mages. Jinwoo finally manages to wipe out all the mages, but the golem is still standing. Our hero Jinwoo got so damn strong that he straight up used brute force to destroy that golem. With that, all the monsters get defeated, and a notification pops up saying he finished the job change quest. Now he can switch to a more advanced class with the points he earned based on how he performed during the quest. But turns out he doesn't get to choose because more notifications start popping up with a bunch of messages. They talk about whatever path the player takes. It is full of dead bodies and the smell of blood. They say the player craves immense power and makes their own damn way without relying on others. The messages mention how a shadow army gonna follow the player's orders, and Jinwoo is straight up shocked when he sees his new job class gonna be a necromancer. This shit doesn't make any sense to him at all, because he ain't put anything into his intellect stat. Necromancers are usually magic-type classes summoning undead monsters as servants. Jinwoo though, he built like an assassin. His main thing is strength, and all his skills match that fighting style. If he ends up with a class like Necromancer, then all the work he put into his current build gonna be wasted. But just then, Jinwoo feels relieved when he sees he can reject it. He says no, but the system points out that Necromancer is a hidden class and asks him again if he really want to decline it. Jinwoo takes a second to think about it and wonders if it is a hidden class means it has some special power. Jinwoo wished he had an example to compare it to, and he realized it was pretty damn similar to the summoning magic the mages were using. Encountering them seems like too much of a coincidence, so Jinwoo wonders if this job change quest was pre-arranged by the system. The whole idea of summoning beasts like mages got him really interested. Them mages ain't all that strong on their own, but Jinwoo knows he is. Ain't no rule saying necromancers can't be frontline fighters, and that's exactly what he gonna do. Jinwoo figures if classes work like stats, then as he levels up, his necromancy skills gonna level up too. That means the Shadow Army the system talking about gonna get stronger too. Jinwoo getting hyped up thinking about not solo leveling anymore, so he decides to accept the necromancer class. Just then, some dark power burst up from under his feet, and the system started awarding him points based on his performance. Jinwoo did amazingly well during the quest, so his total advancement points exceeded the class threshold. The dark power erupts even more, and Jinwoo starts floating because the advancement is about to be complete. Jinwoo is then shocked when he sees that he already moved on from the Necromancer class, all the way to the Shadow Monarch class. He also got unique class skills and 10 ability points. Jinwoo wonders if the quest is finally over, but he begins to hear sounds that seem to be coming from people in pain. Now Jinwoo can see this dark shadow coming from the monsters, and he can use his skill called Shadow Extraction on them. First thing, he gotta pick a command word, so he goes with Arise. As soon as he says it, Jinwoo is straight up ecstatic when he sees the first members of his Shadow Army. Apart from Shadow Extraction, Jinwoo has another skill called Shadow Storage. Shadow Extraction lets him drain some of his mana to create Shadow Soldiers, and Shadow Storage lets him keep them soldiers and summon them whenever he wants. The only thing Jinwoo gotta be careful about is that the extraction can fail depending on the strength of the target and how long they have been dead. There is more to this ability, because Jinwoo sees he summoned both knights and mages, and they come in different ranks too. Jinwoo gets all excited thinking about whether he can even extract his rank shadows and if they are as strong as they were in real life. Jinwoo rushes to Igris and finds out extraction is possible. There is a limit to how many extractions he can do and how many he can store, so Jinwoo lets out 11 soldiers. Jinwoo turns back to the Knight Commander, Igris the Blood Red, and says the word Arise. Igris' shadow starts coming out, but then this huge burst of power pushes Jinwoo back and the extraction fails. Jinwoo only had 2 more tries left, but his second attempt failed too. Back at the Hunters Association, Goto reminds Woo that hunters can never grow their power unless they undergo a reawakening. That's why they train their combat skills and gather allies. Back with Jinwoo, he talks to Igris and reminds him that he is a warrior. Slicing down enemies with his sword is his damn purpose in life, and Jinwoo damn sure doesn't want to just sit around and waste away. Jinwoo straight up declares that if Igris needs someone to dedicate his sword to, then he should serve him. Jinwoo uses his last shot and once again tells Igris to arise. A whole lot of power burst out of Igris' dead body, but this time it was different. Igris' shadow came out, and Jinwoo got the chance to give his level knight a name. Jinwoo shows respect and gives him his old name Igris. At the same time, Go explains that reawakenings happen every damn day, and he hopes this gonna bring forth a hunter that breaks all expectations. Right at that moment, Igris and the rest of Jinwoo's Shadow Army kneel before him. Jinwoo is straight up amazed by the sight and declares that they all riding with him now. Back with the other hunters, they finally reach Jojo Island. Choi examined one of the red ants from that messed up raid, and he was straight up shocked by what he saw. He says the monsters are evolving, and we see that the ants have grown wings.
The story then continues with Jinwoo sleeping in late only to be jolted awake by a call from Gina. Hearing his groggy voice, Gina immediately knows he's still in bed and asks if he even realizes what time it is. Glancing at the clock, Jinwoo notices it's already 2 in the afternoon, so Gina quickly reminds him that her parent-teacher meeting is today. Later, Jinwoo arrives at the meeting looking surprisingly well dressed. Gina is stunned by how dashing he appears, prompting Jinwoo to wonder if something's wrong, but Gina reassures him it's not that, it's just unexpected. He then explains that he just had to dress appropriately since showing up in sportswear wouldn't be suitable. Gina muses about how much people can change, and as they walk through the school halls, Jinwoo garners attention from the girls around, leaving them whispering in curiosity. Gina, noticing this, teases him about not having a girlfriend yet, offering to introduce him to someone, but he angrily dismisses the idea. Later, Jinwoo meets with Gina's teacher, who is full of praise for her. The teacher describes Gina as an exemplary student and role model, noting her strong performance in mock exams. Confident that Gina can get into medical college, she advises Jinwoo not to pressure her too much, and Jinwoo agrees. But before the meeting concludes, the teacher asks Jinwoo what he would do if Gina awakened and wanted to become a hunter. Jinwoo's response is immediate and firm that he wouldn't allow it. The teacher expected such an answer and mentions she has a favorite ask. The story then transitions to Jinwoo meeting Song-yi, who is surprised to see him. Jinwoo reveals he is Jina's brother, and Song-yi quickly pieces together that the teacher must have sent him to convince her to quit being a hunter. She defiantly refuses, saying she won't quit or return to school. Jinwoo points out that as an E-rank hunter, she won't have many opportunities to earn money. And while she may have made good money as part of his assault team, that was an exception. Song-yi frustratedly tells him to leave if all he plans to do is lecture her. And she even throws his rank back at him, reminding him he's also E-rank. Jinwoo then calmly states that he's not here to lecture or convince her to quit. Instead, he asks her to follow him. Elsewhere, Jinchul greets Dong-soo upon his arrival in Japan, surprising Dong-soo with a personal reception. Dong-soo sarcastically notes that the chief of the Hunter Association himself has come to welcome him, but Jinchul wastes no time and directly asks how long Dong-soo plans to stay. Dong-soo reassures him not to worry as he won't be around for long. Jinchul, however, is skeptical, noting that Dong-soo has returned to the very country he betrayed, ostensibly just to meet two specific individuals. Dong-soo smirks, confident that Jinchul knows the truth. His visit isn't just to see them. And he eerily suggests the surveillance team should turn a blind eye to whatever happens to those two in a dungeon, revealing his intent to eliminate Jinwoo first and then Leo. And he confidently remarks that Jinchul's abilities won't be enough to stop him, and Jinchul simply responds that he is just doing his duty. Elsewhere, we see some monsters being unloaded from the chopper that Guild Master Choi and the others took from near Jojo Island, and then Choi briefs the chairman of the Hunter Association on the situation. He explains that the monsters have been attempting to cross the sea to reach the mainland but couldn't sustain flight and fell into the water. Choi then warns that if left unchecked, these creatures might one day succeed in crossing over, but Gunny promises to do whatever it takes to prevent that from happening. The scene then cuts to Jinwoo, who meets up with Sang. Sang, surprised by the unexpected call, comments on how rare it is to hear from Jinwoo and notices Song-yi is with him. Jinwoo then apologizes for the sudden request, but Sang assures him it's fine, though he's curious about Jinwoo's interest in observing their training. Sang then points to a nearby gate, explaining that it's a level C gate that just appeared recently. As they talk, an impatient man interrupts, grumbling that they should start the raid already since this isn't a picnic. Jinwoo glances at him curiously, and Sang introduces him as Kim Chul, an A-rank hunter with the role of a tanker. Sang adds that Kim Chul is the leader of the assault team, and it's clear that Kim Chul is annoyed about having E-rank hunters tagging along to watch his raid. Kim Chul's displeasure is obvious, and Sang tries to smooth things over by explaining the team composition to Jinwoo. The raid consists of 1 rank A hunter, 5 rank Bs, and 2 rank Cs, making a total of 10 people, including Jinwoo and Song-yi. Jinwoo isn't thrilled about the large group since his main purpose was to show Song-yi the harsh realities of dungeon raids, but with so many participants it might dilute the experience. Sang's assistant then advises Jinwoo to stay on the sidelines and let the newcomers gain practical experience, and Jinwoo agrees. The team then enters the gate, but Jinwoo immediately senses something off, and he notices the gate behind him behaving strangely as it begins to glow red. He then realizes what's happening and tries to escape, managing to squeeze his head out to warn Sang to contact the assault team. But then the gate pulls him back inside again. Sang then quickly contacts Baek, informing him of the red gate, and Baek immediately sets out to assist. Inside, Jinwoo and the team find themselves in an endless snowfield, stunned to discover that the gate has completely vanished, so panic sets in as they wonder how they'll escape. Kim Chul then steps forward and explains that they're trapped inside a red gate. Song-yi confusedly asks what that means, so Jinwoo calmly explains that unlike normal gates, a red gate is a dungeon where all contact with the outside world is lost upon entry, and to escape they must either defeat the boss or wait for the dungeon to collapse, and adds that the outside world cannot interfere, and the dungeon will be crawling with dangerous magical beasts. Suddenly, arrows rain down on the group. 1 hunter is killed instantly, but Jinwoo quickly catches the second arrow that is aimed at Song-yi and shields her from harm. The girl is stunned by his reflexes, and the team realizes they are surrounded by ice elves. Jinwoo then notes that their distance had masked their presence, and he sees they targeted the group's weakest members. And he acknowledges that if this had happened 2 months ago, he wouldn't have survived. The ice elves then retreat, leaving Song-yi confused, so Jinwoo explains that ice elves are ruthless predators known as ice slayers among hunters, feared for their brutal efficiency. Kim Chul then takes charge, announcing that no help will be coming in this place and insists they follow his commands if they want to survive. He then claims that he can't manage the entire group, so he proposes splitting into 2 teams, arguing this will improve their chances. He warns that staying in one place risks freezing to death and insists he can protect those who go with him. Most of the group agrees to go with Kim Chul, But he quickly singles out the weaker members, refusing to take them along, and he explains that their presence would slow the team down. He then states that one day in this dungeon equals an hour outside, and it could take months to defeat the boss or wait for the dungeon to collapse. And with a cold, dismissive tone, he labels them as dead weight, so he is going to leave them, but he promises to come back for them once the boss is defeated. One girl in the group decides to stick with Jinwoo, and Kim Chul thinks that's a stupid move, but she is sure that Kim Chul didn't notice the arrow earlier and quietly whispers to Jinwoo that she noticed his earlier reflexes, convinced he's much stronger than he seems, and she thinks that he is even a rank or even higher, but Jinwoo doesn't confirm or deny it. Kim Chul then declares he'll take the main road, assuming it's the best route, so Jinwoo offers to lead his team through the forest. After some time, Kim Chul's group notices claw marks on the trees, so he confidently declares that they've entered Ice Bear territory and smugly remarks that the E-rank team will likely be killed. Soon after, they sense ice bears nearby, and the group quickly finds themselves surrounded. One of the massive creatures charges, but Kim Chul blocks the attack with his shield and cleaves the bear in half with his axe. And without hesitation, he moves to engage the other two bears, maintaining his confidence. Meanwhile, Jinwoo's group is stopped by the girl, who points out similar claw marks. She warns them that they're in Ice Bear territory and suggests they turn back to avoid an encounter. Jinwoo disagrees, suggesting instead that they press deeper. He explains that since this is Ice Bear territory, they'll only need to worry about the bears, which are weaker than the elves that wait outside. The girl thinks it over and realizes Jinwoo is right. No other magic beasts would enter this area because of the bear's dominance. As they move forward, the air grows colder, so Jinwoo pulls coats from his inventory using subspace magic, handing them out to everyone. The group is amazed at his ability, putting on the warm coats with gratitude. But Songye, still puzzled, asks Jinwoo who he really is. Jinwoo avoids the question, reminding her that he brought her here so it's his responsibility to protect her, but he requests that she and the others not ask further questions. Just then, a massive ice bear emerges from the shadows, so Jinwoo steps forward and changes his title to Wolf Assassin as he prepares for the fight. Meanwhile, outside the gate, Baek observes the ominous red glow and concludes that this gate is bad news, and he doubts that anyone but high-ranking hunters could survive. He then places his hopes on Kim Chul, believing his rank might give the assault team a chance. But Sag informs him that in addition to the official assault team, others entered the gate, including Jinwoo. Baek then curiously asks Jinwoo's rank, and Sang replies that Jinwoo is officially E-rank, though he suspects he may have reawakened, though Jinwoo has never confirmed it. Baek isn't optimistic about Jinwoo's chances, but then Dongsu arrives with Jinchul. Baek is visibly displeased to see Dongsu, questioning why he's here when he's supposed to be in America. Dongsu ignores the question and instead challenges Baek, asking why an E-rank hunter was allowed into the gate when he isn't even part of their guild. Dongsu makes it clear he's referring to Jinwoo, leaving Baek wondering how Dongsu knows him. Dongsu scoffs at the red gate, lamenting that Jinwoo will likely die inside before he gets the chance to meet him. Jinchul, observing Dongsu's frustration, muses that Jinwoo is fortunate to be inside the gate, sparing him a confrontation with Dongsu. However, Jinchul doubts Jinwoo's chances of making it out alive. Inside the gate, Jinwoo finishes off the last of the ice bears, earning another level up. His team and the girl are left stunned and wondering who he is, but he remains tight-lipped. Later, the group gathers to eat roasted bear meat, and they are astonished that Jinwoo managed to take down so many bears alone. The girl warns that they can't afford to relax just yet, as the lair of the monsters must be nearby. Songye, on the other hand, is baffled by Jinwoo's behavior, questioning why Jinwoo has gone out for exercise after dinner, even though he just fought such an intense battle, so she remarks on how strange he is, and the others agree. Elsewhere, we see Jinwoo standing outside the lair of the ice bears, ready to test his shadow army. He summons them, watching as they charge forward. The shadows easily cut down the bears, but some of the creatures fight back fiercely, managing to rip apart parts of his army. However, the shadows regenerate quickly using Jinwoo's mana and return to the fight. Then we see that the mages in his army provide excellent support, and Jinwoo is impressed, thinking they perform better than expected, but he notes that maintaining them uses a lot of mana. Suddenly, the massive boss of the ice bears emerges, and with a single devastating attack, it wipes out Jinwoo's entire shadow army, draining a significant amount of his mana in the process. Left unable to regenerate his soldiers, Jinwoo summons Igris. The Shadow Knight steps forward confidently, so the bear charges at him, but Igris dodges with ease, delivering a precise slash, and in moments, the bear is brought to its knees. It attempts a final desperate attack, but Igris finishes it with a swift beheading. Jinwoo observes, impressed by Igris' power. Reflecting on their earlier duel, he admits that he wouldn't have lost if Igris had used his sword. Even now at his current level, Jinwoo believes Igris might still be stronger, and then he praises Igris for handling the fight so well. Meanwhile, Kim Chol's party faces the elves, and we see that all of his teammates have been killed, leaving him alone struggling to process what the hell just happened. He bitterly reflects on how close he was to becoming an elite member of the White Tiger Guild, only to end up in this dire situation. The sight of the elves and the remaining survivors terrifies him, and he realizes he has no chance of winning, so he runs as fast as he can to escape. Then we see Jinwoo stands victorious over the Death Bears, showcasing his immense power as a necromancer. With a simple command to rise, Shadow Bears emerge from the corpses, seamlessly joining Jinwoo's ever-growing Shadow Army. Outside the portal, Sang explains that the strike force has been trapped inside for 3 hours, which translates to about 3 days in the portal's distorted time. Red gates are notoriously dangerous, so Dong-Su concludes that Jinwoo must already be dead and begins preparing to leave. However, Dong-Su halts his departure, demanding to know why Jinwoo was associating with the White Tiger Guild in the first place. Sang casually explains that Jinwoo is merely an acquaintance who wanted to observe a C-rank mission. Then while Sang feels relieved that this answer should suffice, Dong-Su shocks everyone by suddenly choking Sang. Dong-Su isn't fooled, he knows Sang has a talent for identifying promising new hunters. At that moment, Baek steps forward, transforming as he tells Dong-Su to stop. This only enrages Dong-Su further, who dismisses Bak as nothing more than a big fish in a small pond. The two S-rank hunters then release some of their power, sending waves of terror through those nearby. Sang grows increasingly alarmed, fearing that an S-rank battle could devastate the entire area. But despite this, the tension escalates, and the two hunters clash. Inside the portal, Kim Chol feels relieved after escaping the elves, but his relief turns to horror when he stumbles upon the mangled corpses of the Death Bears. The sight terrifies him, and he begins to wonder how the E-ranks he abandoned could possibly be responsible for such devastation. The sheer destruction leaves him trembling, so he suspects that the ice layers might be the true culprits and quickly retreats into the forest. Outside the gate, Dong-Su is impressed when Jinchul intervenes, managing to stop the escalating S-rank fight, so Jinchul humbly admits that the only reason his arms remain intact is that the two S-rank hunters restrained themselves at the last moment. Jinchul then reassures Dong-Su that Jinwoo is just an E-rank hunter, emphasizing that he reevaluated Jinwoo 2 months ago and found no reason to believe otherwise. Additionally, Jinchul explains that the surveillance team's investigation into your brother's death revealed it was caused by a magic beast. Dong-Su dismisses this as a convenient public cover-up, convinced that if Jinwoo isn't the culprit, then the killer must be the wealthy Leo. Jinchul then questions why Dong-Su is targeting Jinwoo if he believes he isn't the killer, but Dong-Su's reply is cold and blunt. It's an excuse to kill. But before the conversation can continue, Dong-Su is called away, muttering that Jinwoo is lucky. Sang watches him leave and reflects on how no one truly grasps the depth of Jinwoo's power the way he does. Confident in Jinwoo's strength, Sang believes he will survive the Red Gate. Inside the gate, Jinwoo's group sits around a fire, trying to stay warm. But their moment of peace is shattered when Kim Chol storms in, furious to see these weaklings alive and thriving. Dressed in weather gear and surrounded by blankets and food, they're clearly in much better shape than his own group. So Kim Chol gets enraged and accuses them of hoarding supplies, claiming his team died because they lacked proper equipment. Blinded by anger, he demands to know who was hiding all the gear and blames Park, suspecting she joined the weaker group because she knew the truth. Kim Chol then issues an ultimatum, counting down from 3 and threatening to eliminate them all if the culprit doesn't confess. And when no one speaks up, he screams Jinwoo's name, assuming him to be responsible and prepares to attack. However, before Kim Chol can act, Jinwoo suddenly appears and utterly overpowers him. The group is stunned by their leader's unexpected return, and Jinwoo admonishes Kim Chol for blaming others for his party's failure. Jinwoo also senses something more sinister nearby and accuses Kim Chol of dragging even greater trouble into their midst. Turning his attention to the surroundings, Jinwoo calls out to the hidden presence, stating that their aura is far too strong to go unnoticed, and he orders them to drop their stealth. In response, the Ice Elves reveal themselves, their leader remarking in disdain that one of the human scum is unexpectedly strong. Jinwoo retorts sharply, shocking everyone as he speaks fluently in the language of the magic beasts. Even Jinwoo is surprised by this ability, quickly deducing that his cheat system must be responsible. The elven leader then begins to explain their presence, revealing that one of his men sensed Jinwoo's immense power when he stopped the arrow, so the elf wanted to challenge Jinwoo to a fight. However, before the leader can finish speaking, Jinwoo swiftly chops off the challenger's head. The leader is amused by this display of brutality, but Jinwoo is uninterested in entertaining him and immediately launches an attack. The leader defends himself skillfully, and Jinwoo quickly realizes that this opponent won't go down easily. The leader, still amused, remarks that Jinwoo isn't human, questions why he's pretending to be. Jinwoo is confused by the comment, but the leader's laugh makes it clear that he knows something Jinwoo doesn't. He explains that elves are driven by a voice in their minds commanding them to kill humans, but strangely, they don't hear it when it comes to Jinwoo. This revelation makes Jinwoo suspicious, wondering if the elves' silence toward him is connected to his system directives. The leader speculates that Jinwoo might not be entirely human and encourages him to sensibly hand over the other humans. But Jinwoo demands to know why the elves are targeting humans at all. As the leader begins to answer, something bizarre occurs. His body glitches and he repeats himself as if stuck in a loop. However, Jinwoo refuses to comply, and the leader warns that defiance would make Jinwoo their enemy and reminds him that they vastly outnumber him. But Jinwoo is undeterred and questions why the leader is so confident. And with that, Jinwoo summons his shadow army, leaving the others to look on in disbelief, wondering how such a thing is even possible. The elven leader then dismisses Jinwoo's forces as a waste of time, but Jinwoo ignores his words and presses for a fight. The leader obliges and the two sides engage in a brutal battle. The humans with Jinwoo attempt to flee, but elven archers target them. Jinwoo demonstrates his incredible skill, eliminating the archers with ease. But despite his prowess, Jinwoo begins to understand the leader's confidence. The elves are stronger than he anticipated and are dealing significant damage. While Jinwoo's shadow army is technically immortal, regenerating his troops costs magic power. Though Jinwoo possesses a considerable reserve, it isn't infinite, and he realizes it could eventually run out, and even worse, he concludes that the elven leader is undeniably stronger than him. The leader engages Jinwoo directly, and Jinwoo quickly evaluates the situation, realizing that even with Igris fighting beside him, Barca remains an overwhelming opponent. The odds are against him, and his regular soldiers won't suffice, so Jinwoo concludes he needs a stronger force to match the leader's power. The leader then formally introduces himself as Barca, and Jinwoo returns the gesture. The two warriors charge of each other with ferocity, and Barca immediately displays his dominance. However, he's momentarily stunned when Jinwoo teleports his blade to his opposite hand mid-attack. Their exchange continues with narrow misses on both sides, but Jinwoo eventually gets pushed back. Barca expresses delight at the challenge, stating he hasn't enjoyed a fight like this in years. Jinwoo, smiling back, unleashes a massive meteor that crashes down onto Barca, catching him off guard. Meanwhile, Kim Chol regains consciousness, seething with anger. Seething with hatred, he curses Jinwoo again and grips his sword tightly, determined to take him down. Then, as Barca battles Jinwoo's magic soldiers, Kim Chol uses the chaos to make his move. However, Jinwoo, having anticipated this, orders Igris to create a dense smokescreen. Using the cover, Igris swiftly ends Kim Chol's life. Realizing too late that Jinwoo had planned this all along, Kim Chol succumbs to his last thoughts filled with regret. With Kim Chol's defeat, Jinwoo commands him to rise, and a radiant light erupts from his body as he is reborn as a shadow soldier. Barca, still charging at Jinwoo, mocks the notion that hiding will save him. But his confidence is shaken when a towering new shadow soldier emerges to confront him, forcing Barca to retreat momentarily. Jinwoo then names his newest member Iron, and the resurrected Kim Chol lets out a deafening scream. Barca assesses Iron, quickly noting after a few seconds of battle that the soldier lacks agility but possesses immense durability. Nearby, Songyi watches in disbelief, wondering if all hunter battles are this intense. Her companions assure her that this battle is far beyond anything they've seen before. Then, while Iron holds his ground, Barca declares the fight lacks challenge and demands that Jinwoo and Igris join the fray. Jinwoo accepts Barca's challenge with a smirk, and the intense 3-on-1 battle begins. Barca's overwhelming strength is on full display as he fends off Jinwoo, Igris, and Iron simultaneously. However, his frustration grows as Iron's persistent screams echo throughout the fight. So Barca decides Iron must be dealt with first, but Iron proves to be a formidable tank, enduring every blow. Barca's confidence grows as he dodges Igris' strikes, but he's caught off guard when Jinwoo lands a stab. Jinwoo is so impressed because Barca avoids a fatal wound even amidst the chaos. Barca then bristles at being underestimated, but Jinwoo commends him for surviving this long. Then, as the fight rages on, Jinwoo takes a moment to turn his attention to the rest of his clan. Barca, suddenly remembering his army, turns to see a horrifying sight. Jinwoo's shadow army has wiped out his entire clan. But despite the grim sight, Barca remains confident, certain that taking out Jinwoo will be enough to turn the tide. As Jinwoo throws his dagger, Barca mocks him, calling him a fool for discarding his weapon. However, he underestimates Jinwoo, who recalls the dagger with pinpoint accuracy. Barca barely blocks it, but his weapon is destroyed in the process. Jinwoo then seizes the moment, ordering Iron to restrain Barca. Immobilized, Barca becomes the target of an immense fire attack unleashed by Jinwoo's magic soldiers. But despite the devastating strike, Barca isn't finished. He cuts through iron and vows to annihilate the humans, but Jinwoo counters, silencing him once and for all. Jinwoo declares the battle over, but Barca, defiant to the end, insists it's not finished until he says so. His defiance is short-lived as iron regenerates and crushes him completely. So Jinwoo reiterates that the battle is indeed over, as Barca lies lifeless on the ground. The ground then begins to tremble, but it's actually merely iron ensuring their victory is absolute. Jinwoo reprimands Iron, reminding him to show restraint, and silently hopes this behavior won't become a recurring issue. The group then breathes a collective sigh of relief, astonished as Jinwoo calmly tells them it's time to leave. They all feel relieved to leave, but before that, Jinwoo takes one final look at Barca's lifeless body. Outside the portal, Sang tells Baek it's time to return home as a week has passed inside and the chances of survival seem slim. But Baek refuses to leave, unwilling to abandon his guild members. Then both men are stunned when the portal begins to open and Baek confidently assumes it's Kim Chul emerging, certain his guild member managed to succeed. However, both are shocked when the figure stepping out isn't Kim Chul but Jinwoo, alive and unscathed. Sang's confidence proves correct and Jinwoo stands as the undeniable victor. The gate then closes and Baek is left wondering about Kim Chul's fate, and when he learns that only the low-ranked hunter survived, he is horrified and deeply curious about what transpired inside. Baek then approaches Jinwoo for answers, but Jinwoo, visibly exhausted, tells him to direct his questions to someone in his guild. Baek is taken aback, interpreting this as defiance, and he is stunned by the audacity. As Jinwoo wasn't asking, he was ordering, and Warsik could even be taken as a threat. Tensions rise as Baek grows more serious, emphasizing that 6 of his guild members are missing, making it his duty to find out what happened. Jinwoo, unfazed by the intimidation, calmly points out that he was the one who saved the 2 surviving members, which means Baek should be showing him gratitude instead. Baek takes a moment to cool down, realizing Jinwoo is right and apologizes for his earlier demeanor. Then, with the situation diffused, Jinwoo takes Songyi home. After Jinwoo departs, Baek turns to Park, asking about Jinwoo and why he seems so angry. Park explains that Jinwoo's mood only changed after defeating the boss. Sang suggests that it must be due to exhaustion, noting that Jinwoo is usually a kind person. Then of course Baek gets intrigued and instructs Sang to do whatever it takes to recruit Jinwoo into their guild. Later, Jinwoo drops off Songyi at her home. She thanks him for everything and says she looks forward to seeing him again. Then as he leaves, Jinwoo reflects on the ordeal. Surprisingly, less than a day has passed since they were trapped in the gate. So he feels disappointed, having only earned a single dagger for all his trouble. And he concludes that Barca must have been far too high level to yield better rewards. Looking back, Jinwoo remembers trying to raise Barca as an immortal soldier. Despite being given 3 attempts, he failed to extract him. Jinwoo takes solace in gaining iron from the situation, but can't ignore the fact that it marks the 3rd time he has had to take human lives. The next day, Jinwoo meets Leo, but he's shocked by Leo's flashy and over-the-top attire. As they prepare for their mission, Jinwoo tells Leo that they need to pick someone up first. That someone turns out to be Songyi, much to Leo's surprise. Seeing how informal Jinwoo and Songyi are with each other, Leo grows suspicious. Then when Jinwoo casually asks Songyi if she managed to get any sleep, Leo misinterprets the interaction. Worried about Jinwoo's intentions, Leo reminds him that Songyi is underage. Jinwoo brushes it off, clearly unaware of Leo's misunderstanding, which only fuels Leo's concern. Sometime later, Leo watches in awe as Jinwoo's soldiers brutally annihilate a group of powerful beasts. Leo can't figure out where on earth they came from, and Jinwoo recalls that Leo hasn't seen them yet. So Jinwoo reveals that they're a part of one of his baddest skills, but Leo has zero clue that this level of monstrous power is even possible. With the battle over, Jinwoo orders his army to begin mining the area for crystals. Leo, feeling dejected by his inability to match their efficiency, pleads with Jinwoo to at least let him collect the magic gems. Jinwoo isn't self-loving though, and one of his soldiers offers to share the work. Elsewhere, we see a man standing amidst the wreckage of a destroyed ship, and a frightened soldier begs for his life, but the man calmly tells him to relax. But the problem is they don't speak the same language, so after switching to broken English, the man explains that he's human and that all he wants is to go home. Back with Jinwoo, he celebrates with Leo after completing the 19 raids that were part of their agreement. And with the raids done, Leo's next step is to pass the written exam at the association to earn his guild master's license. And once he has the license, he'll finally be able to negotiate with his father. But as for Jinwoo, he announces that he plans to travel for a while, so Leo thinks that Jinwoo must be trying to get away from him, but Jinwoo denies it, saying he's just drunk. Leo, however, is used to being pushed away, especially by his older brother, who's 10 years older and has always been cold toward him, so they never did anything brotherly together. But by contrast, Jinwoo has helped Leo so much that Leo wistfully admits he wishes Jinwoo were his brother instead. Moved by Leo's pain, Jinwoo fills 2 cups and says that starting from today he will consider him his little brother. And that cool shit makes Leo stunned but deeply touched. Meanwhile, the mysterious man from the shipwreck has been restrained and investigators discuss his origins. He claims to be a foreign hunter who was trapped inside a gate 10 years ago and only recently found an exit that led to a gate in America. The investigators are skeptical, worrying that he might be a humanoid magic beast. To verify his identity, they called in an S-rank hunter for questioning, and that damn hunter is Dongsu, and they're waiting on him to do the questioning because the only information they know is that the man's name is Il-Fuan Sung. Later, Jinwoo tells his sister Gina that he'll be traveling for a week. She knows how busy he's been lately and teasingly asks who he'll be going with. Irritated by the question, Jinwoo curtly replies that he'll be going with a friend and leaves it at that. Soon after, he stands at the entrance to the demon castle, reflecting on how much he has grown since he barely survived his fight against Cerberus at level 20. But now with his level 3 times higher, Jinwoo is confident this challenge will go differently. Jinwoo then uses the key from his system to unlock the gate and enters the castle. Reviewing the quest objectives, he sees that his mission involves collecting demon souls. However, Jinwoo is shocked to learn that the system requires him to collect 10,000 souls, an amount he can hardly believe exists in the dungeon. But despite the overwhelming task, Jinwoo stays focused on his real objective, obtaining the ingredients for the elixir of life to save his mother. So no matter how many demons stand in his way, Jinwoo resolves to complete this damn quest. Elsewhere, Leo speaks with his father Han about taking over the guild. Leo is well aware that his older brother is also vying for control, but disagrees with his brother's approach. He argues that bringing in an outsider to run the guild is too risky for the company's future. Han, however, shifts the focus to Jinwoo, criticizing Leo for associating with him. Han recounts how Jinwoo was present at 3 highly controversial incidents: the double dungeon, the raid where Hum's team was wiped out, and the surveillance team Hunter incident involving murdered convicts. But despite the danger, Jinwoo miraculously survived all 3. Han also notes that Jinwoo was instrumental in helping Leo clear 19 raids to earn his guildmaster license and also played a significant role in the Red Gate incident, leading survivors to safety. So Han accuses Leo of using underhanded tactics by relying on Jinwoo to gain an advantage. While Leo admits his methods weren't ideal, he insists he knows what's best for the guild. But to Leo's surprise, Han suddenly agrees to let him pursue leadership, but with one condition. Han wants Jinwoo recruited to their guild. Han reveals that the White Tigers Guild has been trying to scout Jinwoo since the Red Gate incident, recognizing his immense potential. So if Leo truly wants to lead, Han challenges him to secure Jinwoo's allegiance first, and Leo accepts the challenge and promises to make it happen. Back in the demon castle, Jinwoo realizes that despite defeating countless demons, he is unable to extract their shadows to add to his army, and he can't figure out why. He has taken down a massive number of them, yet it feels like all that effort might have been wasted. Just then, he receives an entry permit for the next floor, and a glowing light marks the way forward. Jinwoo marvels at the dungeon's immense size because it's essentially an entire city contained within a single building. However, all the walking is quickly becoming tiresome, but luckily Jinwoo summons the bear leader to carry him. The beast charges forward, effortlessly cutting through a sea of demons that block their path. Impressed by its sheer power, Jinwoo decides to name the bear Tank. Elsewhere, a group of girls marvel at Chaha as they admire her. Chaha, however, recalls a conversation she had with Mr. Choi. He decided to keep the reports about the flying ants under wraps, but Chaha felt they should go public. Mr. Choi explained that releasing that information would only cause widespread panic, and instead they should focus on strengthening their guild as they're already the largest domestic guild, and more power is the key to expansion. Back in the dungeon, Jinwoo has cleared even more demons. When he first received the key, he feared this might be an S-rank dungeon, but so far the demons he's faced are around high B rank. Their numbers are overwhelming and they grow stronger with each floor, but by only killing the demons required to proceed, Jinwoo has made steady progress. Based on his experience with other structures, Jinwoo guesses that this castle likely has 100 floors, just like the Tower of Trials. So he wonders how strong he'll be by the time he reaches the top. Then as he reaches 4,000 souls collected, he reminds himself to track his supplies carefully. He also recalls his promise to Gina to return within a week, making this a race against time. Eventually, Jinwoo collects 10,000 souls, completing the quest's main requirement. However, his journey isn't over yet. As he progresses, he encounters a group of powerful monsters, and the leader's name appears in red text indicating extreme danger. The monster's name is Vulcan, the boss-class leader of the lower floors. Elsewhere, we see that Sang searches for Jinwoo, only to learn from Gina that her brother is on a trip, but Sang isn't convinced. There are no records of him doing a raid or leaving the country, and the last trace the association has of him is right in the middle of the city, so the association can only speculate about where he's gone. Meanwhile, inside the dungeon, Jinwoo declares that he'll take on the big boss while instructing his army to wipe out the remaining demons. His soldiers immediately spring into action, swiftly taking down the horde. And with more points allocated to his intellect ability, Jinwoo can summon a larger army and maintain them more efficiently. And also the increase in magical power has made battling much smoother. Jinwoo then turns his attention to the boss-class demon and wonders if the giant beast is ever going to get up. Assuming it's just going to sit there, he's caught off guard when it suddenly moves with blinding speed to attack him. Jinwoo reacts just as fast, dodging the strike and countering with a damn powerful punch that sends the massive demon flying. Even Jinwoo is surprised by his own strength because all he did is punch the damn monster, so he wonders if he accidentally leveled up his power. However, Vulcan isn't finished and it lets out a thunderous roar, so it seems it's about to shift into another form, reminding Jinwoo of his previous battle with Cerberus. The beast then charges at him with alarming speed, so Jinwoo calls out to Iron, who sends him a shield just in time. Jinwoo blocks the attack, but the giant launches a relentless barrage of punches. Jinwoo is stunned by how something so enormous can move so quickly. As the attacks continue, he manages to find an opening and moves behind the beast, only to discover that it can anticipate his movements. Vulcan is an absolute monster, and the only vulnerable-looking spot that Jinwoo can identify is his little head. Jinwoo then begins running, formulating a strategy to limit the beast's mobility. Spotting the perfect building nearby, he sprints toward it. Vulcan, too focused on chasing Jinwoo, crashes straight into the structure. And with the beast momentarily immobilized, Jinwoo summons his weapon, and in one decisive strike, he slices through Vulcan's neck. The Lord of the Lower Floors is defeated, and Jinwoo receives an item called World Tree Fragment as his reward. Elsewhere, we see that Ilfwan is being interrogated by Dongsu, who has heard rumors that Ilfwan might be a talking magic beast. But Ilfwan denies the claim, offering to undergo any tests, including DNA analysis, to prove his humanity. But despite this, Dongsu plays the role of a bad cop and shuts him down, ordering him not to speak unless asked a question. Dongsu is irritated that his fun has been spoiled and takes a look at Ilfwan's paperwork. Ilfwan then asks if he can say something, but Dongsu snaps at him and told to shut up. Ignoring the warning, Ilfwan presses on, asking how much humanity truly understands about gates and magic beasts. Dongsu has no idea what the hell Ilfwan is talking about, so Ilfwan elaborates, explaining that the dungeons, gates, and beasts are merely the tip of the iceberg. He warns that a power capable of triggering an ultimate catastrophe has already awakened. Ilfwan then reveals that he can't say any more, but insists that his only goal is to avert this disaster. Dongsu has had enough of what he considers nonsense and reminds Ilfwan that millions of hunters exist worldwide. He argues that if enough of them combine their strength, they can handle any threat. Ilfwan, however, reveals that sheer numbers won't matter against what's coming. He warns that those hunters will be devoured and turned into weapons against humanity itself. Dongsu, increasingly frustrated, dismisses Ilfwan's claims and turns to the absurdity of his backstory, specifically how a magic beast supposedly managed to have a wife and 2 kids. With mock curiosity, Dongsu asks what Ilfwan's son's name is, so Ilfwan replies that his son's name is Jinwoo. Dongsu's mood shifts to amusement as he smirks, informing Ilfwan that his son is dead. He refuses to answer any of Ilfwan's questions, adding that Ilfwan can ask his son all about it when they meet in the afterlife. Dongsu flexes his power while making this threat, but Ilfwan's expression darkens, his eyes filling with murderous intent. Back in the dungeon, Jinwoo's shadow army is ripping through yet another group of demons. Jinwoo acknowledges the leader of the group and remarks that the battle has become entirely one-sided, and he wonders if the demon leader is surprised by how terrifying his shadow soldiers are. But then it becomes clear to Jinwoo that even the undead can experience fear as the demon visibly trembles. And in a blink of an eye, Jinwoo sliced the leader's head clean off. Then a notification pops up, revealing that Jinwoo has just defeated Metis, the Guider of Souls, and has leveled up even further. Back outside, we see that part of the city lies in ruins after a massive disaster. An investigator remarks on how battles between S-rank hunters can reshape entire landscapes, obliterating everything in their path. He notes, however, that they're lucky this fight was contained to just this area because it could have been far worse. The destruction was so sudden and overwhelming that it seemed to happen in an instant. Surveying the aftermath, he reflects on how Dongsu was defeated so quickly that the damage barely had time to spread. Back in the dungeon, Jinwoo has run out of food, signaling that this is as far as he can go for now. He's reached floor 75, and while there are likely only 25 floors left, it's still quite a journey. The gains, however, have been worth it. From a skeleton he defeated, Jinwoo received a necklace, and from the beast on level 50, he obtained an earring. Both items are powerful on their own, but together they offer a set bonus, adding 5 points to all stats. Noticing one empty slot in the set, Jinwoo deduces that there's one more boss-level beast to defeat. He also earns an item called the Sphere of Avaricious, and while it doesn't benefit Jinwoo directly, it doubles the firepower of his magic soldiers when they wield it, making it a valuable asset. Finally, Jinwoo's latest reward is the chance to open the cursed random loot box. He feared he might never get another opportunity, so he's relieved to find his second key inside. But unfortunately, the key comes with no instructions, leaving him clueless about when or where to use it. For now, these rewards take a backseat to Jinwoo's main objective, gathering the ingredients for the Elixir of Life. He already has the World Tree Fragment from Vulcan and the Spring Water from Echo Forest after defeating Menace, but that's 2 out of the 3 ingredients needed to save his dying mother. So Jinwoo vows that the next time he returns to this dungeon, he will finish what he started and complete his mission. Afterward, Jinwoo exits the instance dungeon and reflects on his progress, and he realizes that he now only needs the purified Demon King's blood. Knowing how crucial it is, he concludes that he must be fully prepared before attempting to obtain it. Checking his stats, Jinwoo notices a significant increase in his level after his recent trip. However, he's still classified as an E-rank hunter, so while he can continue leveling up, his E-rank status prevents him from participating in high-level raid missions. So Jinwoo decides it's time to drop the facade and reveal his true strength by having his rank reassessed. The next day, Jinwoo heads to the assessment center for his rank revaluation. Coincidentally, Kitchell, Sang's ever-loyal sidekick, is also at the center, scouting for potential recruits. Kitchell casually observes the hunters, guessing their ranks when he spots Jinwoo among them. Recognizing him instantly, Kitchell quickly calls Bak, informing him that Jinwoo has come to get reassessed. Upon hearing this, Bak drops everything and rushes to the assessment center. Meanwhile, Jinwoo waits for his turn. He overhears a nearby conversation between 2 hunters. One of them reassures the other, who is visibly nervous, telling him that the test is simple. The anxious man explains his predicament, revealing that he needs to earn money as a hunter to support his wife and daughter, who have threatened to leave him. The other guy tries to comfort him, saying that as long as his rank is better than E, he'll be fine. He even points out recruiters who are ready to make offers to anyone ranked above E. Hearing this, Jinwoo reflects on how this has always been the harsh reality for E-rank hunters. Moments later, he is summoned for his test. Inside, the examiner notes that Jinwoo is here for a reassessment and assumes he's familiar with the process, so she instructs him to place his hand on the black crystal and wait. Jinwoo complies, but the examiner immediately notices an issue. An error message appears on the machine. She asks him to try again, but the same error pops up. The examiner repeatedly resets the machine, yet the result remains unchanged. Her superior arrives, noticing her distress, and asks if something is wrong. She explains the situation, believing the machine must be malfunctioning. So the superior decides to conduct the test himself, but when the same error occurs, he realizes it's not a mechanical failure. The superior explains to the examiner that this error isn't due to the machine, but rather its inability to measure Jinwoo's magical power. His energy has surpassed the device's limit, rendering it incapable of providing an evaluation. Stunned, the examiner quickly pieces it together. Jinwoo has become this country's 10th S-rank hunter. Meanwhile, outside the evaluation center, Mr. Choi approaches Jinchul, inquiring about the progress on the winged ants investigation. Jinchul explains that the investigative department has conducted an autopsy and is comparing the current sample with those from previous cases. However, they still require more time to reach a conclusion. Mr. Choi acknowledges this and changes the subject, bringing up the recent Red Gate incident. He mentions that the White Tiger Guild allowed a non-member to participate in the raid and even let him take down the boss. So he curiously asks Jinchul about the man's identity. Jinchul admits he has no idea, revealing that although he was present during the raid, he left before it ended. Mr. Choi is visibly disappointed by this and then notices a commotion inside the center. Deciding to investigate, the two head into the building, where they witness the aftermath of Jinwoo's failed rank reassessment. Everyone is buzzing about the machine's inability to evaluate his power. The examiner informs Jinwoo that he will need to return in 3 days for a re-evaluation using specialized equipment, as a standard machine is insufficient to measure his capabilities. Meanwhile, Kitchell watches from a distance, realizing that Jinwoo is exactly as Sang anticipated. Recognizing the opportunity, he prepares to approach Jinwoo to strike up a conversation. Just then, Mr. Choi and Jinchul enter the building. Jinwoo instantly recognizes Mr. Choi as the renowned Ultimate Hunter, the country's strongest fire mage. Sensing Jinwoo's powerful aura, Mr. Choi quickly deduces that he is the source of the commotion. Eager to recruit him, Mr. Choi steps forward to introduce himself, but Jinwoo casually walks past him without a word. The entire room is stunned by this unexpected snub. Mr. Choi, bewildered, asks Jinchul if he forgot to introduce him properly, but Jinchul reassures him that he did. Despite this, Jinwoo still walked by without so much as a glance. Before anyone can say more, they realize that Jinwoo has vanished, leading them to suspect he must possess assassin-like skills. Moments later, Baek arrives at the center, panting from running there as fast as possible. Seeing him in such a hurry, Mr. Choi instantly pieces everything together. Jinwoo must be the hunter who cleared the Red Gate. This revelation solidifies his belief that Jinwoo is truly extraordinary. Choosing to leave things be for now, Mr. Choi exits the building. Meanwhile, Baek stands in shock, realizing that Mr. Choi has already discovered Jinwoo's involvement, and he laments that this was the last person he wanted finding out about the situation. At night, Jinwoo sits silently beside his mother, gazing at her peaceful figure. Before leaving the room, he whispers to her to wait for him just a little longer. Outside, he encounters Jinchul, who greets him with an unexpected confession. Jinchul admits that Jinwoo has completely changed his perspective. He explains that as part of the surveillance division, his job is to monitor hunters and bring those who break the law to justice. In the past, he had always been confident in his ability to judge people, but Jinwoo has shattered that confidence, proving him wrong. As Jinwoo walks toward the exit, he asks if he's under surveillance as well. Jinchul reassures him, saying they are monitoring him as a criminal. However, he notes that the surveillance team is tasked with controlling hunters, that even they are powerless when it comes to S-rank hunters. Jinwoo nods and continues toward the exit, but Jinchul stops him, saying there's someone who wants to meet him. Moments later, Gunny, the chairman of the Hunter Association, enters the scene. Introducing himself, Gunny invites Jinwoo for a calm and friendly conversation. First, he congratulates Jinwoo on officially becoming an S-rank hunter. Jinwoo looks confused, prompting Gunny to clarify, so he explains that the reassessment was merely a formality. The moment the machine failed to measure Jinwoo's power, his status as an S-rank hunter was essentially confirmed. So Jinwoo curiously asks why the reassessment was necessary if his rank was already decided. Gunny smiles and explains that it provided the association with a grace period, an opportunity to meet Jinwoo before anyone else could. Gunny elaborates, revealing that while the association manages a vast number of hunters, only a few are truly exceptional. Most elite hunters tend to join guilds in pursuit of fame or money. He then points out that even Jinchul, one of their best experts, is only an A rank, leaving the association in dire need of a more powerful figure. Gunny then extends an invitation to Jinwoo, offering him the most prestigious position in the association. He explains that the government no longer holds real power in the country. It's the hunters who now dictate the balance of power. At the center of this dynamic are the 5 major guilds, massive organizations barely maintaining a fragile equilibrium. Gunny warns that if Jinwoo joins any one of these guilds, the delicate balance will be thrown into chaos. Instead, he proposes a solution. Jinwoo should join the association and transform it into the 6th major power, capable of holding the guilds in check. Gunny asks for Jinwoo's thoughts on the matter, and Jinwoo, intrigued by the opportunity, begins to seriously consider the offer. Jinwoo then takes note of Gunny's remarkable presence. As the first S-rank hunter in the country, Gunny radiates overwhelming power and strength, with a physique that defies his age of over 80 years. Jinwoo realizes that despite stepping back from active duty, Gunny still carries the strength to rival him. He knows his life could take a turn for the better if he accepts the invitation, but Jinwoo still refuses. Gunny assumes Jinwoo, like many others, is choosing money, but Jinwoo surprises him by stating otherwise. Jinwoo explains that he longs for battle, declaring that the dungeon is where he truly belongs. Hearing this, Gunny feels his old heart race, a sensation he hasn't experienced in years, and he muses that if he were 10 years younger, he would have loved the chance to fight alongside someone like Jinwoo. Realizing he can't sway Jinwoo's decision, Gunny decides not to press further. Jinwoo thanks him for the offer and takes his leave. As Jinwoo walks away, Gunny laments that even S-ranked healers can't reverse aging, leaving him stuck with a body past its prime. He then instructs Jinchul to cancel all his appointments for the rest of the day, wanting time to himself to reflect. Meanwhile, Jinwoo contemplates his next steps. He knows he must grow stronger as quickly as possible to save his mother. His sense of urgency drives him forward, leaving no room for idleness. Across the globe in America, Dong-soo awakens in a hospital bed, his body still battered from his recent encounter. The deputy director visits him, expressing the need to clarify one crucial detail. He asks Dong-soo if Il-Fuan-sung is truly a magical beast. And without hesitation, Dong-soo affirms that the power Il-Fuan displayed was anything but human, concluding that he must be a magic beast. Satisfied with the answer, the deputy director begins to leave, but Dong-soo stops him, asking what actions are being taken against Il-Fuan. The deputy director explains that while the administration is tracking him, there's no guarantee of success. After all, Il-Fuan defeated Dongsu, one of their strongest. Left alone, Dongsu recalls the haunting moment after his defeat when Il-Fuan warned him to stay away from his family or face relentless retribution. Even in hell, he will not leave his ass safe. Fueled by rage and humiliation, Dongsu resolves to prepare himself for a rematch. So he realizes he'll need a powerful artifact to stand a chance. It is explained that artifacts in the hunter's world are man-made relics of immense power, considered high-level equipment in the hunter world. Even the most skilled craftsmen struggle to create them. Meanwhile, we see Jinwoo scrolling through artifacts on an online auction site, but nothing catches his eye. Everything worth considering is outrageously expensive, and he knows he needs to be fully prepared before taking on the Demon Castle. He inspects his sphere of avaricious, which can double magical damage. He notes that while some market items can boost magic power by 20 to 30%, there's nothing else that can outright double it. Jinwoo realizes the sphere could fetch a massive price if sold, but its origins would raise two main questions, especially since he's only rank E. So he thinks that if he had records of completing a rank E raid, selling it might be easier. But as an E rank hunter, even participating in those raids is off limits. Just then, his search leads into a job listing from the Hunters Guild. They're hiring miners for a large-scale expedition, and to his surprise, there's no rank requirement. Meanwhile, Gunny reviews Jinwoo's file. He notices how drastically different Jinwoo looks compared to 4 months ago, leaving him to question if Jinwoo is a false ranker. However, Jinchul assures him otherwise, revealing that Jinwoo sustained several injuries while clearing low-ranked dungeons. He then explains that Jinwoo became a hunter to fund his sick mother's care and pay his sister's tuition. Gunny, impressed by his devotion to his family, learns that Jinwoo recently joined the Hunters Guild raid mission. Gunny assumes Jinwoo couldn't resist the sign-up bonus, but Jinchul corrects him, explaining that Jinwoo joined as a miner, not part of the assault team. Gunny is puzzled, unable to figure out Jinwoo's motives. Meanwhile, we see Jinwoo arrive at the gate site. He's accepted as a miner due to his strength, which stands out even among combat-type hunters. Jinwoo then explains that large-scale gates, such as rank A, require various teams: the assault team for fighting monsters, a mining team for extracting mana stones, and the recovery team for collecting monster corpses. So with so many people involved, the rewards are substantial. Meanwhile, inside the dungeon, we see the guildmaster, Mr. Choi, battling the monsters solo. He incinerates them with his powerful fire magic, while the tanks shield the team from his flames. The monsters are left charred, and Mr. Choi presses forward, hunting down the rest with ease. A short while later, the assault team exits the dungeon and Jinwoo observes them, assuming they've cleared every monster except for the boss to keep the gate open. So he realizes how strong Mr. Choi must be to lead the team through a rank gate without issues. The miners then gossip about the Hunters Guild's second-in-command as she emerges from the gate, revealing herself to be Cha-ha. Jinwoo then senses her powerful aura, and for a brief moment, she picks up on his. Though the sensation quickly fades, she wonders if it was her imagination. Jinwoo, impressed by her perception, decides to focus on his work. The miners then enter the gate and begin extracting mana stones. And while the others are focused on mining, Jinwoo's interest lies in the rank A boss. He wishes he could see it at least once. Overhearing miners whispering about his E rank, he shrugs off their comments, thinking that this kind of talk is universal. As he gets to work, his impressive strength draws attention, leaving the others questioning if he's truly E rank. After some time, the leader calls for a lunch break, so everyone else exits the dungeon, but Jinwoo stays behind, determined to finish his work before resting. The leader invites him to join them, but he declines, focused on clearing his mining area. As the others leave, Jinwoo's expression sharpens with determination because he sees this as his chance to sneak a look at the boss. Sprinting toward the boss room, he wonders if it's stronger than anything he's ever faced. Though he knows fighting it would be a massive loss for the Hunters Guild, he can't suppress his excitement. Summoning his dagger, he moves closer, ready to enter. But just before stepping in, he's stopped by Cha-ha. Her piercing voice cuts through the silence as she asks, "What the hell are you doing here?" Jinwoo thinks that this was a damn careless move on his part, and with a resigned sigh, he tells Cha-ha that he simply got lost and ended up here. She asks him if he is from the mining team and bluntly informs him that this is the boss room, ordering him to step back. Jinwoo silently admits that Chae truly lives up to her reputation, as he hadn't even heard her coming until she spoke up. Cha-ha then notices that the dagger she had seen earlier in Jinwoo's hand has vanished, wondering if her eyes were just playing tricks on her. Jinwoo apologizes for wandering off, a trace of regret coloring his tone, and she snaps at him to get out immediately, lest he aggravate the boss. Jinwoo attempts to leave, but as he passes by Cha-ha, she spots something off and commands him to stop. When he halts, she takes a whiff of him, surprised that he isn't reeking. She asks him if he's really a hunter, and upon confirming he is, and that he's ranked E, she wonders if something's wrong. Yet she brushes it off, cautioning him to be careful on his way out. As he turns to leave, she ponders whether his lack of stench is due to his low rank, and in a quiet moment of introspection, she admits that he actually smells pretty damn nice. Afterwards, we see Jinwoo heading into the dungeon after his break, while his mining buddies are quietly envious that he got to meet Cha-ha when he got lost. They mention that they can only admire her from a distance and explain that she tirelessly patrols the area to shield them from the boss, even sacrificing her own rest time. Jinwoo realizes with a flicker of admiration mixed with wistfulness that this is why she was around the boss room, and the mining boss tells him that she's a bit uneasy around the scent of other hunters. The miners add that it's due to her unique constitution, which is why she always covers her nose with a handkerchief. Jinwoo then reflects on how her reaction to him was notably different, and he wonders if that means he doesn't carry the typical hunter scent. He recalls that the boss of the Red Gate said something similar, and he figures it must be because he's just a player. With a subtle mix of curiosity and uncertainty, he wonders what being a player actually means, though he has no damn clue. Later, we see him receiving his pay after the mining wraps up, and the miner boss expresses his gratitude as they finished ahead of schedule thanks to him. The miners then remark that he possesses a natural knack for this, and the boss even confesses that in all of his time he's never encountered anyone quite like him. He inquires if Jinwoo would consider working for him on a long-term basis, promising fair compensation, but Jinwoo replies that this is merely a one-off deal for him. The boss frowns at this, yet he still requests Jinwoo's assistance for one more day, explaining that tomorrow they have consecutive A and C rank missions. Jinwoo reflects that his reevaluation test is scheduled for the day after tomorrow, and he feels a surge of confidence having finally grasped the raid process today. Still, he's startled to learn that the Hunter Guild has lined up raid missions one after the other, planning to tackle 2 missions tomorrow. The boss informs him that the second assault team will be assigned to these missions, leaving Jinwoo thoroughly amazed. The boss boasts that the true strength of the Hunters Guild lies in having 2 assault teams capable of raiding rank 8 gates, something no other guild in the nation can manage. Energized by this revelation, Jinwoo agrees to return tomorrow as well, and the boss, clearly delighted, promises to speak to his superior about doubling his salary. Jinwoo modestly tells him not to worry, but the boss remains insistent. That night, we see Cha-hae with a trace of concern instructing someone to look into Jinwoo within the mining team, and she discovers that the person already knows him. He explains that Mr. Choi had tasked him with the same job the other day. However, he is unable to share any details as every piece of information on Jinwoo has been sealed by the blasted Hunter Association. He finds it utterly odd because he's never witnessed the association lock away data on someone who isn't a top-tier hunter, and before he can say more, Cha-hae abruptly ends the call. Lying in her bed afterward, she contemplates what all this might signify, thinking that although she's met many hunters so far, this is the first time she's encountered one who actually smells pleasant. The next day, we observe Jinwoo arriving at the gate site, and everyone greets him with open arms, a welcome stirring memories of his early hunting days and drawing a gentle smile to his face. They then decide to begin with the C-rank gate for the day, and we see Jinwoo working the mana stones like a damn human excavator. After wrapping up the work, he joins the others for a meal, and the boss keeps praise on him, claiming they managed to finish early and enjoy this lunch break solely because of his effort. The boss even wonders if Jinwoo truly doesn't want to stick with them, offering to pay him 5 times the usual rate, but Jinwoo flatly refuses the deal. Shortly after, Sun Ki-hoon, the captain of the second assault team, shows up, asking if someone from the mining crew can lend a hand since their porter couldn't make it today. The boss suggests that the recovery team would be better at hauling things, but Ki-hoon fires back that they already mentioned being short-staffed. Clearly annoyed, the boss isn't thrilled with the suggestion, and Ki-hoon ups the ante by offering a risk allowance if they accompany his team into the dungeon. Yet the boss shoots him down, insisting that low-rank hunters like them aren't fit to serve as porters in rank-A dungeons. Certainly no amount of cash would change that. Still, Kuma makes one final pitch to see if anyone's interested, and Jinwoo boldly raises his hand. The boss tries to talk him out of it, but Jinwoo retorts not to worry, confident in his own guts. But despite their protests, warning Ki-hoon that Jinwoo is new and clueless about what he's getting into, Ki-hoon simply asks for his rank. When he learns that Jinwoo is only rank E, he figures there's no harm in taking him along. They then head toward the gate, and Jinwoo can't help but notice that this gate is larger than the one from yesterday. Ki-hoon comments that while it might be bigger, its magical energy isn't as potent as the previous gates, reassuring him that it's not dangerous. After all, the second team wouldn't be here otherwise. Jinwoo soon spots that the team comprises 6 rank A hunters and 3 rank B hunters. a lineup that still qualifies as an assault team even without an S-rank member. As they step into the gate, Jinwoo muses that the magic here is likely weaker than before, yet he can't shake an ominous vibe reminiscent of the Red Gate. The team's healer tells him not to get worked up, assuring him that all the hunters here are incredibly capable and nothing will go wrong as long as he sticks with them. Meanwhile, Kun is convinced that once this raid mission is over, he'll be officially promoted to captain of the team. He believes he can handle it, even if he's not as formidable as their current captain or vice-captain. Just then, they sense the presence of monsters ahead and immediately spring into action without waiting for further orders. They are then attacked by some dungeon jackals, but these critters are too weak and the team wipes them out in a matter of seconds. They're all surprised to see dungeon jackals here, and Jinwoo wonders if they're a rare sight. So the healer explains that they are merely C-rank monsters, and it's strange to encounter them in a rank dungeon, since weak monsters like these are usually devoured by stronger ones. Jinwoo then notices collars around their necks, revealing that these jackals are being raised as hunting dogs by someone. Just then, more monsters approach, and they realize it's an army of high orcs. One of them attacks by throwing a spear, and Kun barely manages to block the strike. They charge at him, and the tank uses his taunt skill, but it proves ineffective as the monsters target those in the back. Although one of the hunters manages to repel them, the orcs take no damage due to their high magic resistance. The party's mage then binds one of the monsters that she can't hold it back because it's too strong, so the fire mage summons 2 fire soldiers to assist her. While the fire soldiers engage the orcs, the rest of the team fights fiercely. The orcs then manage to injure the team's martial artist, prompting them to ask the healer for help, though she's already busy healing the tank. Kun thinks they're seriously outnumbered and fears this might be their end when the orcs even cut off one of the hunter's arms. Kun silently hopes that no one will die here, and the healer steps in to regenerate the lost arm entirely, while the bespectacled mage holds the orcs back. Then an orc suddenly appears behind the healer, and she seems to accept her impending doom until Jinwoo intervenes. Using his ruler's hand, he kills the orc by ripping out its spine. The healer is left wondering what just happened, while Jinwoo employs his stealth skill to aid the other hunters, attacking the orcs to weaken them without being noticed. The hunters are taken aback as the orcs start to falter all of a sudden, but they seize the opportunity, launching a full-scale offensive and slaying the orcs one after the other. Jinwoo thinks that he doesn't really want to stand out as an outsider here, that he refuses to let anyone die on his watch. Quietly, he continues to weaken the monsters from the shadows, and the other hunters manage to take care of the rest, eventually wiping out all damn the orcs. Ki-hoon then checks in with everyone, relieved to hear that they're all okay. The healer mentions that something odd occurred during the fight, and Ki-hoon adds that he, too, felt the monsters weaken dramatically all of a sudden. He questions the mages if they were behind it, but they reply that they weren't, and that such a feat shouldn't be possible without an assassin-type hunter. They decide not to dwell on it, reasoning that luck was on their side since they won in the end. Meanwhile, the bespectacled mage thinks that their porter seriously underestimated the team. He should have known that his stealth skill would be detected with a magic caster in the mix. Choosing to keep quiet about it, she figures he must have his reasons, and she owes him at least that much for helping them survive. The hunters then turn to their captain, asking whether they should press on or fall back. They point out that tackling a dungeon like this would at least require 2 more healers and 3 more mages. With a strong suggestion to retreat, the leader takes a moment to ponder the situation. Jinwoo, understanding their reluctance to charge ahead in a dangerous dungeon, silently hopes that the captain will make the right call. In the end, the leader decides to withdraw, much to everyone's relief. When they reach the gate leading outside, they notice that it's sealed by a barrier, a feature that wasn't there when they first entered the dungeon. The mages then step forward to remove the barrier, glad they chose to retreat as this dungeon clearly houses an entity capable of such advanced magic. Almost immediately, everyone senses a surge of powerful magic, sparking the question of whether this was the boss. As the mages hurry to dismantle the barrier, Jinwoo wonders aloud why such a massive magical fluctuation wasn't detected while they were outside. After all, even a B-rank hunter should have picked it up. Just then, the mages suddenly start bleeding profusely, and everyone realizes that someone had cursed the barrier as a sneaky trap. The captain urgently orders one of the hunters to cast some divine magic, but when no one pays attention, he turns around to see what's happening, only to find an entire army of orcs looming behind them. They count roughly 50 orcs, and the leaders from both sides step forward, meeting halfway. The orc leader tries to communicate, but his words are unintelligible until the orc shaman takes over his body and speaks in clear human language. The shaman introduces himself as Kargalgan and tells Ki-hoon that he has been eagerly awaiting the humans. Kuvum then asks if Kargalgan was the one who sealed off the entrance, and the shaman confirms it. Curious, Kihun asks if there's any being stronger than him in this dungeon, but Kargulgan replies there isn't and challenges them to choose, come face him or perish at the hands of his soldiers. Without a second thought, Kihun opts to meet the shaman head-on and the orcs promptly lead the way. But before that, Kihun confides in Jinwoo that their plan is to launch an attack on the boss as soon as they reach its chamber. This distraction should briefly disable the barrier. He instructs Jinwoo he use that opening to escape and alert the other assault team. Jinwoo can't help but wonder if they're all just signing up for a death wish. But Kihun bluntly reminds him that their mission is to shut the gate, not necessarily to return alive, and the healer hands Jinwoo a short will, asking him to deliver it to her family if anything goes south. Though Jinwoo accepts it with heavy heart, he hopes it never comes to that. She urges him to ensure his own escape while they complete the mission. Jinwoo reflects that this dire situation feels reminiscent of the double dungeon, but these people are completely different from what he's faced before. At the same time, outside the gate, Chaha is frantically searching for Jinwoo, wondering if he might have bailed on the team. When the mining boss notices her distress, she inquires about Jinwoo and learns that he has entered the gate as a porter. Back inside, Jinwoo and the rest of the group finally arrive at a throne room, where they are greeted by Kargulgan and a massive, terrifying horde of orcs. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to not miss the next part.